Meanwhile, there are growing fears the conflict in Ukraine will lead to another refugee crisis in Europe. The UN estimates more than 100,000 people have already left their homes, and many more will try to find safety across Ukraine's border. Now, with lines of cars stretching for miles, many Ukrainians are fleeing Russia's invasion on foot, instead carrying bags, wheeling suitcases, and shepherding their children. Ukraine has restricted border access for men aged 18 to 60 in case they're needed to fight. Nearly 11,000 people have already crossed into Romania.
So I have a 5-year-old kid, and I have also my sister who has 2 kids, so we are really scared and don't know what will happen here.
Thousands more have gone to Poland and Hungary. UN agencies say that if the conflict drags on, as many as 5 million Ukrainians could flee. Fuel, cash, and medical supplies are running low in parts of Ukraine, which could prompt more people to leave. Now,
fire! The kosher clinician.
Like I work in finance. God bless, no, it's not by chance. Don't dab me, you're not my man. Don't at me, you're not my man. Mama said don't buy it if you cannot buy it twice. I cop by the tools and I don't pump fake with the price. Always on the grind, I put in work with all my might. I know that he got me now by sight. Yeah, 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 yeah. I swear I vanish, I slide out landings, V12 engine, all black like Vladimir. Sit 4 days, that's for sure though. Grinding from the grip, no shame, take a photo. Time to take a trip, we head north to the border. Stay filling up, I'm my favorite type of hoarder. I got kids to feed, I got enemies, I got God's gift, so they envy me. Got some friends out in Memphis like I'm Aubrey. Got some friends fought for orange like some autumn leaves. Yeah, 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 yeah. I swear I vanish, I slide out landings, V12 engine, all black like Vladimir. Yeah, 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 yeah. I skirt, I vanish, I slide out landings, V12 engine, all black like Vladimir. All black like Vladimir. All black like Vladimir. All black like Vladimir. All black like Vladimir.
Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Yeah, yeah. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my ass. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Watch out for those who surround you, need no funny kind. You can't see what's on my brain, I live inside my mind. Out of space and out of sight, you need me in my line. Need no face, don't need no phonies, no, no, no. Need no snakes, no only homies down for show. On go, go, go. Get a book and get the front and we load up and roll, roll, roll. I got kids, yeah, I got staff, I make a little need more, more, more. I sell records, you sell packs, not on my level, no, no, no. I'm a pop star, I'm a rock star, I'm a winner. Think I'm not hard, you smoke rock, hard waste, man, why you dumb? I'm with airline, we on airlines like we on the run. I'm with Tay, girls run up on me, they done. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Money line, I'ma run check cash, yeah, I need my money line. Why check cash, yeah, I need my money line. Why check cash, yeah, I need my.
Ma jolie, oh ma jolie. Ah yeah, eh. Every time I come around you, baby girl, something doesn't feel the same. You said that I'm changing, but it's really you. I see how you play those games. Wifey type for a maid man. A queen can make moves, a king can't. Snatch you up, now you taking. Gave you bricks, now you building a wall up, wall up. Lately you and I've been all love, all love. I don't know what's up with our love, you forgetting all about us, oh. My jolie, oh my jolie, where are you? When I need you the most, you still MIA. This is murder, heart is melting, girl you got me. Called your bluffing, made you something, now you talking. Telling me to cool it off, how can I cool it off, telling me to cool it off, how can I cool it off, My jolie, oh my jolie, my jolie, oh my jolie. You don't turn on me now, you don't get no time for me now, babe. Got him on a rebound, but it's only you that I like, babe. Tout ce que j'ai fait c'était pour toi. Sur le haut parle mais t'écoutes pas. Tu me vois crever mais tu bouges pas. Pourquoi? Whoa, yo, wall up, you can't even get the scars up. For us, I don't know what's up with our love, you're forgetting all about us, oh. My jolie, oh my jolie, where you been? When I need you the most, you still MIA. This is murder, heart is melting, girl you got me. This is more than bluffing, made you something, now you talking. I call you bluff, telling me to cool it off, how can I cool it off, telling me to cool it off, how can I cool it off, My jolie, oh my jolie. Girl, you got me. Called your bluffing, made you something, now you talking. Telling me to cool it off, how can I cool it off, telling me to cool it off, how can I cool it off, I don't know how to cool it off. My jolie, oh my jolie.
I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I might rent the Lambo and go drive it like it's stolen. I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Stumbling out the Uber, grab my hand, gave me a notion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I was sipping more for 2 years straight to the face. Champagne belly bubbles still won't go away. Last year my best man hit a stain with bad face. Now he's got a hell behind the water's cold case. I wake up with pain sometime and never go away. Wonder why I balance to my knees when I pray. In my city gritty, gotta keep it on your waist.
Or you might be a victim, they'll find you DOA. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, he's my mind. All the time, he's my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you.
The question remains in this episode, is the price of war too much as it relates to heteronormative masculinity? In these modern times, many men are still expecting to carry the onerous burden of being men in times when many say that we are modern. And this recent episode with Ukraine and Russia proves the fact that men are still expected to carry the burden of masculinity. But the issue that posits itself with Russia and Ukraine is that in Russia and Ukraine, those cultures are normally more traditional, and many times cultures that are more traditional get the benefits where the man benefits and the woman benefits. Recently in the news, Russia and Ukraine, men 18 to 60 are expected to stay and defend their country. But someone asked the question, if that episode came to America, and if American men and women are on the precipice of war, will it be fair to expect men to take the burden of war, knowing that the burden of war can cause mental health conditions like post-traumatic stress, depression, and many times our veterans being left to defend themselves because many times masculinity is not honored and respected in Western times? Do we see some level of hypocrisy where some modern women want the benefits of equality, but they don't want the outcomes that are associated with equality, which in essence can lead to war? Should modern women in America be expected to defend their country and to put their lives on the line like Ukrainian men in Russia? Should modern women expected to potentially have their lives lost? Should they be expected to be on the front lines where the bullets are whirling over their heads, and many times they could suffer from depression and post-traumatic distress and post-traumatic stress disorder, and many times elements of depression? Are Western men fuming over the fact that boys 18 to 60 are expected to defend their country based on this conflict with Russia? Sit back, relax, and enjoy this show as I bring it to you live from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State. And I need you guys to remember this as we explore the dynamics of, in modern times, should men be expected to adhere to traditional norms? If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. Should American women be expected to cause or more or less hold up the burden of war in modern times? Should men that are traditional only protect traditional women? Should men put their lives on the line to defend women in times when they don't respect masculinity or patriarchy? Enjoy this show as we have this very powerful conversation. Be well. All right, guys, this is going to be a good one. Get your pens and paper ready as I drop some fire for your mind. Fire! Guys, I got the fan on in the back, so if there's too much noise, let me know. I'll turn it off. Mission. But it's hot here in the Tar Heel State. But I want to talk about this topic, guys, because many feel that there's a price to pay for being a man in America. Many feel that the price many times is too high. They feel that the price is too high for manhood. And because many feel that the price is too high for manhood, many are asking the question, should men be expected to hold up the burden of war and defend America in a time where men and women are equal? That's the question that we're going to pose today, because the price of war can be very problematic for the mental health of a man. Many men that go through war, many men that have been victims of war, many men that have been casualties of war, many times suffer from depression, Many times they suffer from post-traumatic stress disorders. Many times they suffer from a myriad of issues that can impact them long term. And so if men can deal with or deal with the ravages of war that are centered around PTSD and depression, the question remains once again, should men be expected to fight in war in these modern times? And should our women be expected, or modern women be expected, to uphold the burden of war as well? We're not talking about traditional women. We're talking about modern women that are equal to men. And that's the question that we're going to talk about on today. So guys, get the likes up, share the content, as we're about to have a powerful discussion on the impact, or if the price of war too much for masculinity. That's the question. Is the price of war too much for masculinity? Now listen, some of you guys that are listening are veterans. Some of you guys are veterans, and some of you men have fought in wars. And the price of war had caused you to be in a state of turmoil all the time. Many of you that have been in the price or have been victims of war often are on edge. You deal with anxiety. You deal with a lot of different things. And many times here in America, many men are not given credit for fighting in this country. Now, guys, I got the fan though. So if that fan is too loud, I need you guys to hit 1 because I want to make sure you guys are hearing me. If you guys can hear me, hit 1. If you can hear me, hit 1. If the fan is too loud, or if the fan is okay, if the fan is too loud, hit 1. If the fan is okay, hit 2. So I want to make sure you guys are hearing me as I proceed, because many are conflicted about this war in Ukraine. Many are asking, can we be on the precipice of war? And if we are on the precipice of war, how does that impact modern men that have not been conditioned like men in traditional and patriarchal countries to fight and to defend their country? So are modern men equipped to defend their country? Have masculinity been eradicated from most modern men to the point that they're not worthy or ready to fight for their country? That's the question. So those are the things we're going to talk about on today. We're going to talk about those things, the physical impact of war, and also the mental impact. And once again, guys, if you can hear me, hit 1, please. If you can hear me, please hit 1 to the 10 that are watching. If you can hear me, hit 1. If the fan is too loud, I need you to hit 2. So to the 10 that are watching, let me know as I proceed forward in this conversation. So shout out to everybody, salute to everybody as we had this powerful conversation on if the price of war is too much for the modern man. Now, when you think about what's going on here in America, some will argue that most boys and most men are not ready to deal with the burden of war because they have not been conditioned. There's an old saying that says that soft times make soft men and tough times make tough men. But are modern men ready to deal with war? Have modern men been conditioned to deal with the state of war? Should only modern women help men fight if war comes to America? And should only traditional women be protected? Because in the broader context of life, if many are saying that they are equal to men, then they should be equally expected to defend this country, own up to losing their lives like many men have to lose their lives. But we're talking about modern women. We're not talking about traditional women that respect their men and respect their husbands. We're talking about modern women that say that they're equal to their men. So the question remains once again, guys, get the likes up once again. I need feedback. I ask you guys, can you hear me? I ask you guys, can you hear me? And if the fan is too loud. So I need feedback. I don't know if you guys are watching. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to move on. I asked you guys several times, but I don't know if you can hear me or not. But there's a price to pay for war. There's a price to pay as it relates to the body. And we're going to look at some of the things associated, guys, with post-traumatic stress. So let's hold tight. And we're going to look at it. And we're going to look at what post-traumatic stress actually looks like. So PTSD, one of the 5 signs of post-traumatic stress disorder is this. It's a life-threatening event that includes or perceived to be life-threatening event. It's eternal reminders of that event. And these symptoms typically present a nightmares or flashbacks. It's avoiding of external reminders, an altered state of anxiety, and change in mood or thinking. These are the conditions associated with post-traumatic stress disorder. And once again, it's a disorder in which people have a difficult recovering after experiencing or witnessing a terrifying event. So the question remains, is the price of war too much for the modern man? I don't know what happened. I popped off, guys. But anyway, in the meantime, guys, if you can hear me, I don't know why I'm keep popping off. Must be a streaming issue. Hold tight, guys. Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, I popped off a couple of times, so don't know what's going on. But anyway, let's go back into exploring the issues with PTSD, because, as I said once again, the question remains: should men be expected to uphold traditional norms in modern times? So back to what I was saying about post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a disorder in which a person has a difficulty recovering after experiencing or witnessing a terrifying event. The condition may last for months or years with triggers that can bring back memories of that trauma, accompanied by intense emotions and physical reactions. Symptoms may include nightmares or unwanted memories of that trauma, avoidance of the situation that bring back the memories of that trauma, heightened reactions, anxiety, a depressed mood. And so those are some of the negative things that are associated with PTSD. Behaviors, agitation, irritability, hostility, hypervigilance, self-destructive behavior, or social isolation. Psychological could be flashback, fear, severe anxiety, or mistrust. Mood can be loss of interest or pleasure in activities, guilt or loneliness. The sleep issues could be insomnia or nightmares. So the question remains once again, is the price of war too much for the masculine man? Is the price of war too much for the masculine man? You guys could be right. I've never had this happen before. I've never had this string to stop or pop off in the mid of actually having a conversation. And it's something to think about, because I'm not trying to be controversial, guys. I promise you I'm not trying to be controversial. But we say that we live in modern times. That if we live in modern times, should, modern women be expected to defend their lives for the sake of their country? Should they be expected to put their lives on the line and to be on the forefront with some of the things that are associated with war? The thing that I found out from this whole thing about Ukraine and Russia is this: those countries are very traditional. Those countries still have a level of respect for true masculinity. And so if that's the case, have men or boys in America been conditioned to fight in war? Have they been conditioned to fight in war? Have the modern man and modern boys been conditioned to fight in war? Should traditional women be the only ones that are protected, as we could be on the precipice of war as well? And that's the question. I'm going to run that stream, that little intro again, guys, to give you guys a little bit of clarity on what's going on to the ones that are coming in. Thank you guys for coming in. But some feel that model women should be expected to fight as well. Actually, I'm going to put a poll. I'm going to put a poll in the chat, guys. You guys forgive me for these. Forgive me for my sinuses. But that's the question that we're asking. Should modern men and modern women be expected to fight? And should traditional women be protected? So we're going to talk about the definition of war. What is the definition of war, and what does war mean? What is the definition of war? And I'm going to look up that definition in a minute. Because war can be very onerous for a lot of men. War can be very dangerous for the mental health of a lot of men. And so, if we're equal in these modern times, should men be expected to fight? And I don't know how you guys felt when you saw this. I don't know if you guys were conflicted when you saw this, but I was somewhat conflicted because I live in a very modern country. But once again, Ukraine and Russia is not, it's modern, but Ukraine and Russia is also very traditional and very patriarchal. And so I don't know how you men feel about it, but many feel that if our women are modern, they say that they're equal to their men in America, then they should be expected to fight just like men are expected to fight. And some will argue that only traditional women should be protected and traditional women shouldn't have to go fight. But the question remains, what percentage of women are actually traditional? So I'm going to ask you guys the question. What percentage of women are actually traditional? Would you say that 50% of women in America are traditional? Or is it less than 50%? If it's less than 50%, guys, tell me the percentage of women that you think are traditional, and if that percentage of women should be expected, if they're not traditional, to defend this country. Because Ukraine said that men 18 to 60 must stay and be prepared to fight. And so how do you guys feel about that if this actually came to America? Would you be willing to put your lives on the line and fight for a country that many times does not honor masculinity, a country that many times exonerate the women over the men, especially in these current politics? So I want you guys to ask yourselves the question, should men be expected to fight in modern times? Should the women be expected to fight? Marby Speaks said, you trying to be funny. He said, I say 70% are traditional. We know you being funny. JJ Diesel said that minus 5% are traditional, which are none. Tim Lee Masker said that 0% are traditional. And Top Gun said that 1% are traditional. So 1% of women are traditional, then that would more or less assert that 99% of women, including your mothers, your sisters, and your aunts, and your daughters, should fight and prepare to defend their country like, Ukrainian men ages 18 to 60, if that's the case. And if that's the case, then what does that mean as it relates to how our communities are being seen in Western times? Are the communities fragmented? Or are the communities very strong? If the communities are fragmented, then what does that say about our culture? What does it say about our culture if our communities are fragmented? What does it say about our culture if our women are not ready or willing to honor and respect their men? What does it say about our culture when things are very turbulent, when times are very turbulent. What does it say, ladies and gentlemen, about our culture? So, because the men are saying that less than 50% are actually traditional. The men are saying that less than 20% are wife ready. The men are saying that many have not been conditioned to honor and respect men. So if the percentages are low, then you guys are saying that modern women should be expected to fight for their country and to defend their country just like men. And that's the case, then what does that say, guys, about our country? What does that say about the condition here in America? Because the physical price of war can be very harming. It can cause mental health distress, the physical tolls of war. It can cause psychic distress. It can cause the loss of limbs. It can cause a lot of different things that can impact the body and the mind. Because many times war can be very dangerous, and war can be very toxic, and war can be very troublesome for those men that are trying to protect themselves and to protect their minds. And so you guys have been looking at this, the topic. You guys have been seeing the news. You guys have seen the associations with them talking about war. And what does it mean to you? What does it mean to you guys when you think about war? Are you willing to defend your country? Are you willing to put your life on the line? Are you ready to put your life on the line and to defend this country? And if you're not ready for it, we're going to talk about it, and I want you guys to tell me why. Guys, get the likes up once again. Share the content. If you have not donated, donate to the channel. Donate to Cash App, $7Smalls. And if you don't have anything to share monetarily, that's okay. Just share the content. Share this content with 5 to 10 people that think just like you as we explore the mental health impact of war on a lot of our men and the current trends associated with war. Timothy Masker said equal rights. Sam C says that I'm thinking about 30% black are traditional. That's interesting. Some would say it's lower than that. Yes, Maurice, we're talking about all ethnic groups. We're talking about all ethnic groups. Shout out to Cool Jet. We're talking about all ethnic groups. Awesome Dre said, I'll say about 20%, 1 in 5 are traditional, and that's low. So if 20% of the women are traditional, then over 80% of modern women should be expected to fight and to defend this country in the crisis of war. And they should be expected to carry the burden of war because war can impact the soul, mind, body, and spirit. I want you guys to talk about what's been going on with you mentally as you think about this episode associated with war. What does it mean to you all when you hear this whole concept about war? Shout out to my man Top Gun for that $5 super sticker. He said, I'm not dying for none of these defiant women.
It's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
That's a good one, bro. And so how do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about putting your life on the line in modern times when men and women are equal? And men and women should both take on the burden of war and take on the burden of putting their lives on the line. Or do some of you guys feel that modern women want to be traditional only when it benefits them? They want equality of opportunities, but not equalities of outcomes. And so that's the question, guys. We're going to talk about it. And thank you, Top Gun. That's funny, man. He said women can serve, but they usually don't have the physical capacity to fight. And those combat arms like infantry and artillery. That's interesting. Timothy Masker said nuclear war. JJ Diesel Cowboy said he thinks it's about 1%. Cool Gent say if something like that happened in the U.S., most modern women aren't ready. I would say that modern women and men aren't ready. Because as I said earlier, that tough times make tough men. Those countries are conditioned to be tough. But here in America, many of our boys and girls, but especially our boys, are not conditioned to deal with the ravages of war. They're not conditioned mentally to deal with war because many have not been raised in traditional homes where they've seen true traditional masculinity. Sam C said the war is horrible. I wouldn't want to fight a war in the U.S. There would be a constant conflict about protecting my family versus the greater community. Right. If you got a wife and you got daughters and they're serving, honoring, and respecting you, yeah, I think you should protect them. But I would be remiss to say that I'm going to put my life on the line for people that I don't know. They're not honoring and serving me in any way. Many voted for policies that were antithetical to the black man and the black family. So if they're going to be modern and strong and independent, some would argue let them fight for themselves and only protect your personal family and protect traditional women that contribute to creating policies that can benefit black men. JJ D's a cowboy. He's laughing at it. Eric Wright to put these independent women to work. Top Gun said the ones that have sons that claim they don't need a man should be the front line. That's a good question. That's a good point. Top Gun. Because if they really traditional, modern, they strong and independent, don't need a man, then, war comes to America, then they should be on the front line, ready to fight and defend this country. Because many are saying that many political factions don't support black men. They place power positions and give it to our women. And many say that they're agents of white supremacists. But it's something to think about, guys. Because war is very serious on the mental impact of a man. It can cause a lot of damage physically and mentally. JJ D's a cowboy said they wouldn't be the main draft dodgers. Wow. Maury Speaks to B said, nah, guys, because we all going down if we put them out there. Well, and Timothy Masker said women would get pregnant to avoid war. That's something to think about. But we have these questions, guys, because many of you guys don't feel that men in modern times are honored and or respected. You don't feel that men are getting the proper outcomes. They need to be the better versions of themselves. And you feel that many times when black men and all men begin to speak out for this civility and basic respect, it's often met with ill repute. So we're going to talk about the physical toll. Some of you guys that are listening have had cousins. You've had family members that have been agents of war. They've fought in wars. And some of these men have lost their lives as well. And, some of you men know and have heard the stories of your uncles and your grandfathers that have fought in war. And many times those men were never the same because war took a negative toll on their mind and their bodies. That's the physical part of war. But there's a psychic impact of war as it relates to the social realm. Some say that there's been a war on masculinity for the last 50 to 60 years. And that war has impacted the black man and the black community the most. Many black men are saying that they were not agents of the oppression that many claim the black men were part of. And, the war on boys and masculinity has left many boys crippled mentally. Dr. Jawanta Kunjufu actually have done seminal work on supporting black boys. Dr. Helen Smith, she's talked about men being on strike. Susan Vanker has talked about it. And I myself, being an advocate as a therapist for black men and boys and all men, for that case, the question remains, should traditional men put their lives on the line because there's been a psychic war on boys? Gillette just did a story in the past, or more or less did something in the past where they tried to shame men and call true masculinity toxic. So if men are toxic, if masculinity is toxic, then it would be argued that our women should be ready to fight in war, because you can't pick and choose when you want men to be masculine. Because, you know, the war of masculinity has led many to negative impact, like paternity fraud. Mr. Palmer talks about changing the law in your mind. Paternity fraud has caused a lot of negativity. No-fault divorce has caused a lot of negativity as it relates to the war on the mind of black men and all men in America. And then the Me Too allegations, false allegations from Me Too. We know that there have been some that have been unscrupulous and impacting and hurting women. We're not talking about the ones that were actually guilty. But there have been men that have not been guilty, and their lives have been forever changed based on false allegations. So the war on masculinity is a psychic war. Many men don't feel like they can be masculine here in America. I want you guys to ask the question, do you feel like a man in America? Do you feel like you have the power to exercise your masculinity in America? If you feel like you do, hit 1. If you don't feel like you got the power to exercise your masculinity, hit 2. And once again, guys, if you have not donated, donate to the channel. If you don't have any money to share this content as we continue this conversation. Cooljet 87 said that if you ask most modern women, they want to move to another land, and they said no, they will all turn into a pillar of salt. Money of Life Business says that they are not feminists anymore. Why traditional women reappear in droves? Right. I agree with you, Money of Life Business. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. Eric Wright said that what's funny, females voted for their own recession. You're right. Top Gun said that, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's funny. Top Gun said they most would be like Lot's wife, they'd be a pillar of salt. Sam C said, my great uncle told me that Koreans and Korean snipers tied themselves to trees to keep their bodies from making noise after being shot. The strong will fight. A strong will to fight. Right. But the question remains that are modern men and boys ready to fight? Are modern women ready to fight? Should modern men only protect traditional women, or should traditional men only protect traditional women? And should modern women and men support themselves? Because Ukrainian men 18 to 60 are expected to defend their countries. And see, guys, there's a benefit to having a strong traditional family with strong traditional fair masculinity. I'm not talking about men abusing power, but I'm talking about men that are fair and they're very judicious in their response to giving out power, and they're very judicious. And as I said before earlier, guys, men, especially men of ADOS descent, have never had the power to do this so-called oppression. We never had the power. So we're going to talk about it, because some of you guys are saying, too, that no. Some of you guys said they're not designed for that. 7 Mile Awesome Drake said, I won because I'm stupid and don't fear the repercussions. That's funny. That's funny. Well, listen, I hope this topic don't get me canceled. I'm just asking the question, man. You know, I'm just asking the question. I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm just asking the question. Just asking the question. Should traditional women only be protected in case we are expected to go to war? When you guys thinking about traditional masculinity, what do you guys see as a negative with traditional masculinity? What do you guys see with a negative with traditional masculinity? Is traditional masculinity being upheld, or is traditional masculinity being pushed into silence? Because the current episode in Russia says that women and children should be protected and the men are expected to fight. I'm going to run this clip again, guys. Hold tight. I'm going to run this clip again. And I want you guys to think about what I ran. Hold tight.
The question remains in this episode, is the price of war too much as it relates to heteronormative masculinity? In these modern times, many men are still expecting to carry the onerous burden of being men in times when many say that we are modern. And this recent episode with Ukraine and Russia proves the fact that men are still expected to carry the burden of masculinity. But the issue that posits itself with Russia and Ukraine is that in Russia and Ukraine, those cultures are normally more traditional, and many times cultures that are more traditional get the benefits where the man benefits and the woman benefits. Recently in the news, Russia and Ukraine, men 18 to 60 are expected to stay and defend their country. But someone asked the question, if that episode came to America, and if American men and women are on the precipice of war, would it be fair to expect men to take the burden of war, knowing that the burden of war can cause mental health conditions like post-traumatic stress, depression, and many times our veterans being left to defend themselves because many times masculinity is not honored and respected in Western times? Do we see some level of hypocrisy where some modern women want the benefits of equality, but they don't want the outcomes that are associated with equality, which in essence can lead to war? Should modern women in America be expected to defend their country and to put their lives on the line like Ukrainian men in Russia? Should modern women be expected to potentially have their lives lost? Should they be expected to be on the front lines where the bullets are whirling over their heads, and many times they could suffer from depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, and many times elements of depression? Are Western men fuming over the fact that boys 18 to 60 are expected to defend their country based on this conflict with Russia? Sit back, relax, and enjoy this show as I bring it to you live from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State. And I need you guys to remember this as we explore the dynamics of, in modern times, should men be expected to adhere to traditional norms? If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. Should American women be expected to cause or more or less hold up the burden of war in modern times? Should men that are traditional only protect traditional women? Should men put their lives on the line to defend women in times when they don't respect masculinity or patriarchy? Enjoy this show as we have this very powerful conversation. Be well.
So once again, guys, I played that back for the guys that came in, and that's the question: should traditional men be expected to fight for modern women, or should traditional men only protect traditional women? Let's look at the benefits of traditional masculinity, because the benefits of traditional masculinity are that women and children get protected because they honor and respect their men. Another benefit of traditional masculinity is that women are esteemed as icons of virtue. I want you guys to ask yourself the question: are most modern women icons of virtue, or are they icons of chaos that cause you mental distress? If modern women are icons of virtue, I want you to hit 1. But if you think that modern women are icons of chaos, I want you to hit 2, because, I'm concerned about the mental well-being of modern men and traditional men. Men that are expected to be traditional while everyone else remains modern. And guys, we have these conversations not because we're trying to be controversial, but we're asking the Socratic question, what are the benefits? Looking at what some of the guys said, that, and that's sad. And we got to have these conversations because the men are saying, Austin Drake said they're agents of chaos. Most are saying they're not icons of virtue. And so if the men are saying that they're not icons of virtue, then what are we protecting? Because in fair exchange, guys, there is no robbery. There's no robbery, guys, in fair exchange. There is no robbery in fair exchange. If the exchange is fair, then there is no robbery. In traditional masculinity, the women respect and honor their men. They seek to encourage and nurture their boys. But there's a fringe benefit or fringe lunatic that seeks to delete black boys, that seek to cause mental distress many times to good, decent black men and all men. And because of this ongoing cycle, Mr. Palmer called it baby mama terrorists of all genders, then what we're saying and we're asking the question is, why should men be expected to put their lives on the line? And I'm not trying to be controversial. I promise you I'm not, but I'm just asking the question. Because traditional women get traditional benefits. But if women are modern in modern times, then should they get the benefits of traditional women, or should they be expected to put their lives on the line like everyone else? Because many guys are saying that gender is fluid. So if gender is fluid, then that means that everybody from a broad spectrum should be expected to fight. That means heteronormative men should be expected to fight. Those from the alphabet community all should be expected to put their lives on the line and be ready to die and defend their country at all costs and at any cost. Wow. So, these conversations are important, guys, because depression and post-traumatic stress disorder are often byproducts associated with war. Some of you got uncles that have given uncles and fathers and grandfathers that have put their lives on the line for war, and many have not been the same since. Men are still struggling with the impact of war, and many are still dealing with it as it has impacted their mind, souls, body, and spirit. So many men are dealing with the negative impact of war. And many are saying that I don't want to put my life on the line for something that does not benefit me. The issue associated with modern women is this. Modern women believe that they're equal to their men. They believe in equality as it relates to their men. So if they feel that they're equal to their men, then they should be ready to defend this country as men are expected to defend this country. Many espouse egalitarian relationships where they say that men and women are equal. And if that's the case, then, they should be expected to fight. I don't think traditional women should be expected to put their lives on the line. Traditional women that honor and respect their husbands and nurture their boys and nurture their daughters, I don't think traditional women should be expected to fight. I think men should be willing to defend traditional women. The real ones, not the fake ones. But we should be expected to defend traditional women. I won't want my daughters to have to go and fight and put their lives on the line. I want my daughter to have to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and depression. I don't want that to happen to my girls or my sons for the most part. Because modern women have not been conditioned to be wise. Sadly, some of their fathers told them to put their careers first. Some of these men told their daughters to go get your career and that you don't need a man as well. So some of these baby boomers are complicit in their own daughters' demise because they didn't tell them about the importance of family. Am I against a woman getting a career? Not at all. If career is important to you, go for it. I'm not against women getting their careers. I'm not against it. But if you believe in family, you got to ask yourself the question, how am I going to compartmentalize it? Should I put my career first, or should I put my family first, or should I put my career first and still with the anticipation of getting a husband at some point? But many don't look at it that way. They don't look at it that way. Many don't even care about family until it's too late. And once again, some of these boomer men have taught their daughters wrong. Some of these women only went back what their fathers told them. Girl, go get your career, get your education. But they didn't tell them about the importance of family. Because you can have a career to the point if you know how to, put your family or put your priorities about family first. If family is really important to you, then sometimes you have to give up some of the techniques or some of the pleasantries associated with careers, or more or less try to find a healthy balance when you're in college. When you're in college, then you should be trying to focus on getting you a husband if family is important. If family is not important to you, then I'm not talking to you. Be modern and enjoy life. Have fun. I'm just talking about traditional women that want traditional families. Let me read through some of these comments, guys. To the 34 that are watching, get the likes up. Get the likes up, guys. Share the content, please. Share this content. If you have not donated, donate to Cash Out $7Smalls. Sam C is correct. He said that post-traumatic distresses or the hyperarousal dealing with these modern women could be easy to catch a case. Yeah, sadly, but we don't want you to do that. But I understand your point, Sam. I totally understand your point. We don't advocate domestic violence of any kind, but sadly, some of these men have been victims of domestic violence. But I want to have these questions, guys, because many of you are suffering in silence. And I've said before in the past that a hopeless man is a broken man. And a broken man is a very dangerous man. It's very dangerous when men are walking around broken and when they don't feel like they have the proper wherewithal to help them deal with the issues that are going on inside their head. Awesome Dre said that my father told me when I was a kid to stay out of the white man's army, and he never saw combat. If that's not telling them what is, well, that's something to think about. Wow. Sam sees that my grandfathers were on World War II. My father was in Vietnam. I was, okay, that's something, Sam. Sam, I want you to come up at some point and talk, brother. You said you were a OEF in Afghanistan. I want you to talk about it, Sam, because you know about the negative impact of war. You've been impacted by war. You've been trained for war, but you also know about the negative impact of war. And so it's a hard price to pay for a country that does not honor masculinity or honor traditionalism or traditional men, because once again, many modern women want men to be traditional while they remain modern. And that's not healthy mentally for a man, because men and women equally should be protected. You protect his ego, he protect you physically. And fair exchange, guys, there's no robbery. There's no robbery in fair exchange. Green Beret Media said I had this conversation with a family member about how we are groomed for family, right? That's interesting, Green Beret Media. Mr. C said I can almost sense it coming. My blood is boiling. And I want you guys, I'm gonna drop the link at some point, guys, and we're gonna talk about it, because this is a topic that often gets, swept under the rug. But once again, its gender is fluid, which means it can be anything. Then should all be ready and prepared to fight and to put their lives on the line, because some are saying that when the tough get tough and the tough get going and where manure hits the fan, they're going to expect men and boys to put their lives on the line. But when have men and boys been serviced? And so many are saying that I'm not putting my life on the line for people that don't honor and respect me. And you can't argue with that. Maurice Speaks said you'll get controversy on who's traditional and who's not. You're correct. Eric Reich said you can't be scared to fight, but mad about slavery, which is a result of a losing war. I'm nice sometimes, so women are just looking for a free ride, and sometimes to marry and divorce them for their blank. I see little value of women today. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. That is interesting. But when many men saying that most modern women have not been conditioned to be wise, then what does that say about our culture? If most modern women have not been conditioned to be wise, if they have not been conditioned to serve and honor and respect their men, what does that say about most modern women? Many want equality of outcome or equality of opportunity, but they don't want the equality of outcome that's associated with the pressure and the burdens of carrying on the task of manhood. That's what some are saying about modern women. Many are saying that many are career-driven versus family-driven. So should men be expected to protect women that put their careers first over their men and family. If you're a traditional woman, I'm not talking to you. If you're wife ready, I'm not talking to you. I'm only talking to traditional women that say that they're strong and independent and they don't need their men. I'm only talking to traditional women that says, modern women that says, I can do anything that a man can do. Because masculine men need to feel like they can be men, and when the men are at their best, they will give you the best. Shout out to my man Nice sometimes showing some support conversations among grown men. No doubt, brother. I appreciate that.
That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
I appreciate it, Nice sometimes. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. And we're going to get this show cracking, guys. I'm going to drop the link at some point, but I want to hear the men talk, but especially the men that have fought in war, especially the men that have been trained to fight in a country that many times don't honor our masculinity. And so some are saying that many expect traditionalism while they remain modern. To the men that are listening, how many of you men have dated women that are traditional, that are modern? They expect you to be traditional, but they are modern. To the 31 that are watching, how many of you men have dated women that are modern, but they expect you to be traditional? And how's that impacting you mentally as it relates to your masculinity? Because I'm concerned about your masculinity from a psychological perspective if you're not getting the proper outcomes that you need to become the better versions of yourself. Shout out to Black Man 316. Shout out to him for that $3, $10 super sticker. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
JJ Diesel Cowboy said that a non-virtuous woman has about as much value as a wooden penny at best and detrimental at the worst. Awesome Dre says that two things can be true at the same time, brother. I'll fight with Black men united at the hip today, not fighting to defend the country of modern women. And right. And, you know, I keep telling our women that mentally men need to feel valued and honored. When a man feels valued and honored, that's his love language. But if you're not willing to protect his 6, then he can't protect yours, which is that physical protection that many need. So once again, guys, if gender is fluid, then should all of the sexual spectrum be expected to fight? If war came to America, then everybody should be expected to fight, not just boys and men. Everybody should be willing to fight because we're all equal in modern times. And only traditional women should be protected, in my opinion. That's why these conversations got to be had. Because many men are saying that they don't feel like men in America. Many say they don't feel like men. Many are saying they don't feel respected. Many are saying they don't feel honored. Nice sometimes say a former police officer SWAT lost. Right. A former police officer from the SWAT team lost my 10-year career behind a false allegation of sexual assault. She dropped the investigation once she was asked to take a polygraph. The damage had already been done, but no charge. Oh, my God. I'm so sorry to hear that, man. I'm so sorry to hear that, brother. I'm sorry to hear that, Nice sometimes. And listen, I've been through it. I've been through false allegations. I've had people lie on me. You know, they've lied on me. I've lost my job over false allegations. I've lost jobs, have been set up, have been lied on. As a career teacher, I taught school. And, you know, in the process of teaching school, you know, many times I've had, you know, and the woman wasn't white. It was a black woman, lied on me, you know, went and told, you know, the administrators I wasn't doing my job. And after going to school and studying hard, just because I was a masculine man, I stood firm in my masculinity, I lost my job as a teacher. Well, not overall, but in the county that I was working in. And so men are saying, why am I giving my life for women that don't honor and respect me? Why should I be expected to be traditional when many women are modern in America? It's no benefit. And so when we have these conversations, many get upset and get mad.
And they think that I'm trying to be an agitator against community, but only thing I'm asking is this, what are men getting in return? What are they getting in return? What are they getting in return? Because if they're not getting the outcomes that they need, then why are they putting their lives on the line? What are men getting in return? Because once again, in fair exchange, guys, there is no robbery. There is no robbery in fair exchange. When you think about the concept of the draft, should modern women be expected to go in the draft? If you believe that modern women should be drafted to fight for this country, I need you guys to hit 1. If you don't believe that modern women should be expected to fight in this country or draft, I need you to hit 2. Because we're going to talk about it. Hold tight, guys. Let me get this thing. Hold tight. Interesting. That's interesting. That is interesting. Because based on the responses, many are saying that modern women should be expected to fight in the draft. That's interesting. That's interesting. Life coach said that as soon as being vaccinated is lifted, I'm traveling to the Philippines, Thailand, and Brazil. Well, brother, live your life on your own terms. If you feel like you can get the kind of woman that you want abroad, then I advocate for you to live your life on your own terms. I believe that men should have the right to live their lives on their own terms, free of shame or guilt. And I believe that men that are traditional, they're looking for traditional women, should live their lives on their own terms. You should not feel like you have to be a slave just for the sake of building the community if you're not getting what you want. If you get a woman in your community that's been trained to honor and respect you, she's honorable, she's willing to work with you and love you, then fine. Find your uncovered gem here in America. But I don't expect you just to stay here and be loyal just for the sake of being loyal. I don't believe in that because that doesn't benefit you. No man should be an indentured servant just for the sake of community. All men should be able to live their lives on their own terms. If they get the women that they want, then so be it. And so it's interesting because some of you guys are saying they should fight. Rorschach said if they can be cops, fighters, they can be soldiers. Right. I agree, Rorschach. If they can be cops, then you're right. They can be soldiers. I don't want my daughters fighting. I'll defend my girls. I'll defend my wife. And I'll get with good women that support good brothers and traditional men, but modern women that are strong and independent and they don't need a man, then, they can go fight for themselves. They're strong and independent. Let them fight. Let them defend themselves. Give them some heat and let them go and fight and get dealt with like most men have traditionally and deal with the repercussions that many are dealing with as well. So the question, Alicia Del Rosario, is this. Should modern women be expected to fight in war? And should only traditional women be protected? If women are strong and independent, Alicia, and if they are modern, should they be expected to fight in war and to defend their country? If you didn't know, Ukrainian boys and men 18 to 60 are expected to defend their country and fight, while women and children are expected to, leave, flee, or be protected. The boys can't leave. They got to stay. The boys and men can't leave Ukraine. They have to stay. I'm saying that most boys and men in America are not mentally tough to deal with war because they have been pacified for so long and the masculinity have been worn out of them, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. Sam C. said a standard load, a soldier carries around 60 pounds. Most women simply cannot sustain that load. That's interesting. That's interesting. Nice sometimes that they want to coup for the power, but as a former training cop, women cops are the worst. They want to only do the easy calls
and be in front of the camera. Well, listen, I used to work in law enforcement too, nice sometimes at SAMC. And when I worked in the youth centers many times dealing with the aggressive boys, you know, we all trained the same. There was only one sister that would get down with me and she would help me fight and defend. There was only one. But the majority, when something went off and something popped off, they would call me. But I'm like, hell, I'm not getting part of your check. If we're equal, then damn, you need to go fight just like me. You need to go lock them boys up or, you know, break them down or whatever. But they will always expect me to go and put my physical and mental health online just because I was 6'5". And that was gender discrimination. They were getting the same pay that I was getting. But when something rough and tough went down because I'm the big guy, they always expected me to go fight and defend, and that's wrong. I believe in equality. I believe that if you believe in equality, then you should be expected to do everything that men do. That's my position. Omar said that women in this country, they don't need a man to fight in wars if it was mandatory for men to fight. Women in this country don't need a man to fight in wars if it was mandatory for men to fight. That's interesting. Sam C says that the body armor is about 40 pounds, right? And so I'm just asking the question, guys. You know, I'm not trying to be controversial, but, you know, when I saw about Ukrainian boys and men expected to fight, that, you know, that did something to me mentally because I'm thinking here in America, America is not traditional or patriarchal. America is very matriarchal and very modern. And, you know, the question remains, are or should American women of any ethnic group be expected to fight and defend this country? And that's the question. That's the $1 million question that many are not willing to answer. Many are not willing to answer that question. So I'm going to drop the link in a minute, guys. We're going to have a conversation. I want some of the soldiers to come up and talk. And what do you guys think about this current crisis in Ukraine? What do you guys think about this current crisis in Ukraine? What do you guys think about it? Also, guys, I need you to do me a favor. Hold tight. If I don't know you, I need you to cam up. If I don't know you, I need you to cam up. If I know you and you don't feel like camming up, I'm okay with it. But if I don't know you, I need you to cam up. But I'm going to drop the link, and we're going to have a conversation. And it's going to be the call-in. And at some point, guys, I'm going to get an actual call-in number where, you know, men and women can call from any parts of the country, and we can have a conversation as long as it's civil and respectful. All right? So Rorschach said that we live in a society where women are demanded to be equally represented in high-paying physical jobs like police and firemen and EMT. If those women can do those jobs, they can carry a gun. I agree. I agree with you 100%. If they want to, you know, they want to be equal, then they should fight. I believe in that. He said, if we ever go to war, it should be perfect timing to negotiate our issues with this country. That's a good point. I'm high def. That's an excellent point. Nice sometimes said, America was built by men through war, sweat, and tears, but the laws only benefit women. What do women fight for other than the power to control men and their resources? And once again, men are beginning to say, you know what, give me liberty or give me death. Modern men are beginning to say they want to be treated and respected and honored like men. And they're saying that if they can't get that respect, then they're going to focus on themselves and do what's best for them. And so, guys, I do the Manhood Chronicles in the Kosher Clinician because I've heard too many men come to me in private saying that either they don't feel like men or they don't feel like they're honored and respected. And many times, most modern therapists don't address masculine issues or male issues. They don't address it. And because they don't address masculine issues or male issues, many men are saying that, you know, what's the purpose? There was a group back in the 80s, in the 70s called War. What is the cause for? Absolutely nothing. So the question remains, is the price of war too high for traditional masculinity? Is the price of war too expensive for traditional masculinity? Green Beret said that I believe the state should stay out of it. I also feel that people believe in gender fluidity and equality, and everyone should fight. I agree with you 100%. Green Beret Media. That's all I'm saying. You can't pick and choose when you want to have gender fluidity. If gender is fluid, then, everybody should fight. They equally should be carrying the same weight, and they should be equally fighting, and the rules should not be adjusted just because. I only believe in protecting traditional women, and I only believe in protecting traditional girls. Traditional girls and traditional women, I don't have an issue with protecting. But the problem, once again, is that many feel that most women are not traditional. Listen to what the young men are saying. They say only a percentage of women are traditional. And that's a problem if men are expected to be traditional while women remain modern. Elisa Del Rosario said, yes, unfortunately, traditional women are not separated from modern women today, so all women will have to fight. Right. You're right, Alicia. You're right. All would be expected to fight. I don't want my woman fighting or my girls. I don't want my babies on the forefront fighting. I had to take an L for the team, for them. I take an L for them. I don't want to die and lose my life, but, for the women that's been honored and respected me, I'll take an L for them. But in general, I'm not putting my life on the line just for anybody. I don't know. Women have been indoctrinated to not honor and respect men. I'm not doing that. If you guys want to do it, you're free to do it, but I'm not doing it. But I would do it for the right woman. But I'm not just going to freely give it away. I can't do that. My life is too important. It's too important. So, guys, the link has been dropped. At some point, guys, let's have a conversation. Did I drop the link? Let's have a conversation. Yeah, that's the link. That's the call in. And at some point, guys, I'm going to literally get a live number where men and women can call in. If you're at work, you can just call in and we can have a conversation. Because I'm going to do a show on tomorrow, and the question remains, is male empowerment the new mental health? I believe that when men are empowered, it impacts them in a positive way mentally. So is male empowerment the new mental health? That's the question. Man, you're a funny dude, man. You're a funny Top Gun. Top Gun is funny. JD Diesel Cowboys to protect virtuous women and send the non-virtuous women on the front line. Hey, you get no argument from me in that area, JD Diesel Cowboy. Rorschach said that if women can own homes, drive cars, own bank accounts, and otherwise enjoy the fruits of civil society, then they should be expected to fight, period. Having more net soldiers is a plus. Right. I agree. I can't argue that, Rorschach. I can't argue that at all. That's a fair argument. If men and women are equal in modern times, then men and women should both be expected to fight and to defend this country. And only traditional women should be protected. But once again, the percentage of traditional women is low. So it's a free-for-all. Because, like I said, white women, black women, and many Western women are saying that they're strong and independent and they don't need men. They say anything a man can do, they can do better, and that's good. So let's get on the front line and, put your life on the line, let them bullets hit you too. And then we'll have a conversation after the fact. Because I believe in fairness, justice, and equity. I believe that men should be honored and respected, and I believe the women should be honored and respected as well. But I don't believe that men should just be sacrificial lambs just for the sake of community. I don't believe that men should be sacrificial lambs just for the sake of being men. I think they should get something for their sacrifices. Not just putting their lives on the line just for the sake of putting their lives on the line. Because men have inherent value and worth. Men need to be honored and respected too. Your grandfathers put their lives on the line, but your grandfathers got traditional women. So most men didn't mind putting their lives on the line, even though war is hell. But they did get traditional women. LCN said this whole situation that just exposes that women aren't the superior gender. It's real easy to run your mouth when the odds are in your favor, but when the ish hit the fan, the so-called feminists crawl and hide. That's a good point, LCN, brother. That's a good point. That's a good point. And all this social re-engineering has caused a lot of our women to regret the day that they believed in some of the ideologies that they were taught. It's caused them to regret the day that they believed in some of the ideologies that they were taught. Alicia said, I can't fight, but if traditional women are low in number, we would have to fall in line with the majority as usual. Yeah, man. Yeah, sweetie. War's something, man. And I want Green Beret and Sam C and Nice sometimes. I want you guys to come up if you can. If you're not working, I want you guys to talk about the topic. I want you guys to talk about the topic of war. Marvin Gaye said, war is hell. When will it end? The group from the 70s they made a song called War. They said, what is the cause for? And they said, absolutely nothing. That was a song back in the 70s. War, what is the cause for? What is it good for? I'm sorry. It was by Edwin Starr. Hold tight. Let's try to find this. But war, what is it good for? Many say absolutely nothing. The Vietnam War caused a lot of damage and harm on a lot of men. So many are saying war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Don't know if you guys have heard that song before. So is there any benefit, guys, in war? Is there any benefit, guys, in war? And if that war doesn't benefit black men, then what is the cause for? Casual Observer, how you doing, brother? What's going on? Can you hear me? Hold tight. Can you hear me, Casual Observer? Hold tight. I see you popped up. You can try again, Casual Observer. Try it again, Casual Observer. Can you hear me, brother? Can you hear me? All right, issue on your side. Okay, cool. All right, so the link has been dropped. So come back up if you want to have a conversation. But in the meantime, I'm going to play something from the 70s. And we can read the lyrics together, guys. We're going to be in class today. And so this was a song in the 70s by Edwin Starr. It said, war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Hold tight, LCN and the Casual Star. LCN, if you can cam up in the back, brother, so I can see you. I don't think I know you, LCN, but I know you're a good brother. But if you can, I can see your face for a minute, and then I bring you on. I've seen Casual Observer before in the past. You don't have to cam up on the screen, LCN. Just show your face in the back, and for a minute, and then you don't have to have your camera on when you go up front. Okay, well, I see the guys coming in, so I'm gonna add you guys to the stream. LCN,
yeah,
did you hear me?
My camera ain't working right now. Like, it's messed up. I gotta fix it. That's
okay. You fine. All right. Hold on. Sam C, guys, hold tight, brothers, hold tight. Give me 1 minute.
Hey, Kosher, your StreamYard's link is broken. You added a colon at the end, and if you click on the link itself, it won't work. You have to delete the colon, and then you have to repost the link.
Okay. All right. Hold tight. Okay. Thanks for telling me, man.
No worries, man.
All right. So let's go over this, guys. Hold tight. I'm gonna go over this thing by this group called War, and it's true. Hold tight, guys. And we're gonna just look at these lyrics because many don't feel that war is worth. This song was written by Edwin Starr. I'm gonna turn the music down for copyright issues, but Edwin Starr talked about a war. What is it good for? And the song said absolutely nothing. War, what is it good for? Does war benefit modern men or traditional men in modern times? And they wrote this song as in protest to the Vietnam War. But does war benefit traditional men? That's the question. Does war benefit traditional men? That's the question. And if it don't benefit traditional men, how does it impact us long term? Because many have to deal with post-traumatic stress disorder and many other things. So it's something to think about, guys. Hold tight. I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna bring you guys up in a minute. We'll have a conversation. So hold tight. Thank you guys for chiming in. Hold tight. All right, guys. So while that's playing in the background, how would you brothers like to add to the conversation? You can unmute yourselves, starting with Casual Observer. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up?
All right. For some reason, he said his volume is low. Sam C. All right, Sam. Whenever you get it right, man, just let me know. But what's your take on this conversation, Casual Observer? You're very intellectual and very astute, brother. What's your take on the conversation, Casual Observer?
My take on the war situation is if women could enjoy the fruits of living in a civil society where men and women are expected to live like peers, then they should be expected to be fighting at the fighting on the front lines. Carrying a weapon to the front lines of the battlefield is a net win for the society in general. Having more people out there with guns actually means that your military is going to perform a lot better. And in the case of Ukraine, then the women should be expected to fight to protect, obviously, the Ukrainian society. You can't have women working as firefighters, police officers, and EMT staff. And obviously, like those jobs, people's lives are at risk, and some of them are very dangerous as well too for the person doing the job. And if they want to fight for those high-paying jobs, then they should also be on the front lines fighting for war. The two positions are irreconcilable. You can't have women doing those jobs, but also saying they're like women shouldn't be on the front lines of the battlefield. That doesn't make any sense.
Right, that's an excellent point. LCN, how would you like to add to the conversation, sir?
Well, with things like this, what I really think it does, it just exposes the nonsense in Western society, because it's real easy to sit on social media and just talk crap all day. Oh, men are this, men are that, men are this. Like what these women remind me of, especially this feminist and all this stuff that's going on with the war. It reminds me of this dog that my cousin used to have in Jamaica, and it'd always bark real loud. And then anytime a pit bull would roll by, he'd run into the house and cower. And as soon as the pit bull would walk down the street, he'd come back out again and start barking. It's real easy for feminists to talk garbage when life is good. You know what I mean? It's so easy to sit behind the screen. Men are this, men are that. We don't need men. Women are superior than men. And then when a problem rolls by to prove your superiority, you run and cower. And then the same people you claim is not inferior to you have to come and save you. If the feminists say that women are the superior gender, shouldn't you be putting your superior people on the war to win? I agree. That's like me saying my bench players are superior than the ones on the court. Then shouldn't you put your superior players on the court so they could play? So I'm not advocating for war, but what this does, it just exposes the nonsense. It's like that hood dude that talks the most ish. I'm a real this, I'm a real nigga. I do this, I do that. And when it's time to show that, he the first one ducking. You a demon, what you ducking for? All that talk and you ain't backing it up. So that's what it is. It just exposes the nonsense. All this shows is that majority of them are all bark and no bite, and nothing they say actually holds weight.
That's a good point, man. And I have these conversations because mental wellness is very vital for men to be sustainable. And war is a very high price on masculinity if he's not going to get anything in return. And I decided to do this show because when I saw that boys 18 to 60 must fight, men 18 to 60 must fight, I said, I wonder if we did that in America, what would be the outcomes? Because it appears to me, guys, that countries like Ukraine and Russia are still very traditional and very patriarchal. Russia, for one, doesn't believe in some of the things that we believe in. They don't believe in the liberal policies of Americans. They believe in trying to preserve traditionalism and nationalism. But countries like Ukraine, I don't know if Ukraine is modern or liberal or what, but I think those countries are by and large more traditional and patriarchal. And so would you pose the question that we should be willing to fight
for traditional women? Because those women appear to be traditional in Ukraine. What's you guys' take on that?
My take on that is if you're going to enforce the normative traditional gender roles, then you have to enforce them thoroughly. There is no cherry picking, and in this case, I feel as though Ukraine, like many other countries, is likely a very modernized Western liberal democracy, and allowing women to flee from war while forcing men to serve on the front lines. Just there's no valid excuse for that, because you're discriminating solely on the basis of gender. There are some women out there who are very tall. They're capable of playing in the WNBA. They could play rugby, and there are some very weak, effeminate men. And if these women are able to leave, then if you're discriminating based on gender, then there is no a legal justification for that. China is actually facing the same issue as many Western nations with regards to the feminization of men in the West.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're trying to do is they're actually treating the feminization of men as a national security issue. Because obviously when you get into war, if you have too many men who do have a certain kind of weak disposition, then you are going to be at risk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sam C, and then Monday Life Business, and then Nice. Sam C, what's your take on this conversation, brother? You said you were in the military, I believe. I got a background in law enforcement, but what's your take on this, Sam C?
I think it's interesting the way that you posed the question, and that are you fighting for masculinity, and I think that if that's the case, or you're fighting to be treated in that certain way, then yeah, I wouldn't fight for those non-traditional women. But I think if you're fighting for a different reason, then the logic is slightly different. To me, it's just as simple as, the United States offers a certain kind of lifestyle that I'm used to. Mm-hmm. And based off of that's why I'd fight. Okay. But do you feel if gender is fluid, should everybody be expected to fight from the alphabet community to all? Or you don't want, or you feel like you only want masculine men fighting beside you or strong women? What's your take on that? Well, I think that my perspective is this: if I'm with a team of people that are expected to carry their own weight, that's who I'm looking for to fight with me. And I don't want some woman, because, not to be sexist or anything like that, but they're simply not equipped to carry that load, like I kind of put in the comments. Your combat load is typically around 60 pounds, and depending on if you got extra gear, it could go as high as 100 pounds. Mm-hmm. And that's the weight of most women, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Their bodies just simply aren't equipped to be able to do that. And those sappy plates that they wear, it's 40 pounds. Mm-hmm. And then if you got like an M60 machine gun or one of those different kinds of machine guns, that's another 30 or 40 pounds. And then if you got a radio, that's another 20 pounds.
Right.
So it just simply, to me, it doesn't make sense. I know you have people that do like firefighting and they do EMT and things like that, but just in general, most women aren't cut out for that. And I don't want to have to slow down because some women can't hack it.
That's a fair point. Money, life, and business. How would you like to add to the conversation, brother?
Well, there's two things, but one of the main things I want to talk to you about is,
guys, I'm gonna mute y'all while Maurice is speaking. All right, wow, Money. I'm gonna mute you guys. Y'all mute yourself. Maurice and I'm Nice. Mute yourself for a minute. Mute yourself.
Okay, so
brothers. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So, like I was saying, there's two things. One of the main things in combat, it's been known that if a woman was to go down next to another soldier, female soldier was to go down, right, the males would cover her and will be distracted from the actual battle.
I see your point, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a known fact because our characteristics, our state of being is to protect a female. Mm-hmm. So that could not work as far as the fluidity. I do believe that they should go into combat, but I don't think they should be on the front line. They should be in the support status. But we all know exactly what's going to happen when this goes down. Femininity is going to be at the forefront, and there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to need to talk about, or rather they are going to want to talk about and discuss as far as, wait a minute, I'm a traditional woman, and you know how that's going to go.
Yeah, everybody all of a sudden be damn traditional. Everybody going to be traditional then when it come down to fight, man. Nice. How would you like to add to the conversation, brother? And thank you for the cash app earlier, brother. How would you like to add to the conversation? Go ahead, Nice.
I'm just enjoying the conversation. Like-minded individuals, males coming together, and finally having a voice, man. You know, I lost my career last year behind a false allegation, and my thing is, it should be more things, you know, for law enforcement and, you know, for guys to have representation. Like, we don't have nothing other than you two right now, and yourself and a few other content creators to voice our issues. And if anyone try to say anything against the agenda, feminism, or you know, they tried to silence us. And I was like you. I was one of the ones that, you know, I'm always been an alpha male. You know, been a SWAT operator on the federal level, but we don't have anything to really to go against this ideology of feminism and woman liberation. So I think, might be personal, we should really start using not just our voices, but our money, our wallet, our resources. We're the ones that created this society that women benefit from. You know, technology wise, the STEM field, science, technology, engineering, and math. We still allow women to control society. You know, through social media, propaganda, so on and so forth. So I'm just here once again just for support, and I really enjoy hearing you guys talk, man, about this kind of stuff, because, you know, a year later, I'm still trying to get my thing going back in my life, and behind a false allegation. So it's serious things need to be said. I take this very serious, and I really enjoy just being here to listen to you guys talk. So I'm gonna just mute myself for now until I have something.
Yeah, and in the middle of the stress, man, I've been through it. The same thing you've been through, Nice. I've been through it. I taught school, as I said earlier. You know, when I did work in law enforcement, working with juveniles, man, you know, the women will always expect me to go to the forefront and do the dirty work. And as a licensed teacher at one time, I got caught up in a quagmire when I was lied on, and you know, of course they didn't believe me. It wasn't about sexual allegation, but it was allegations about competence, and that's the struggle that we all have to go through as men. Maurice, how would you like to add to the question, brother? I mean, the conversation, brother, about is the price of war too much for traditional masculinity? Is the price of war too expensive for traditional masculinity, in your opinion, brother?
All right, what's going on, fellas?
How you doing, brother?
Doing good. So you said the price of war too expensive for masculinity?
Right, for traditional masculinity. And basically what I mean by that is that traditional men are expected to defend and protect their country at all costs. But here in America, most men are not honored and respected. So if men are not honored and respected in America from a traditional perspective, then should they be expected to put their lives on the line when it comes down to war? Countries like Ukraine and Russia appear to be traditional, but America is not traditional. It's very modern and very matriarchal. So is the price of war too much for you and me and the men that are listening if we are traditional men?
I would say no. I think as men, I mean, we are, it's in our nature to fight, it's in our nature to protect. So no, I wouldn't say it. As much as I hate a lot of the things that's going on in this day and age, as far as with, you know, modern men, modern women, as much as I dislike it, I think it's in our nature to protect. So no, I don't think the cost of war is too much. I think with a lot of luxuries that we have in this day and age, you know, we've gotten away from our nature, if you will, and we've allowed a lot of the propaganda and a lot of things that are going on in the politics and everything else to kind of get us away from that. But all in all, I would say no, it's not, because once again, it's in our nature, and we don't want to get away from what God put in us to do as men.
Right, that's a fair point. But let me pose a question to you, though, Maurice. In fair exchange, there is no robbery. And even though it's our nature to protect, it's God's nature also to be holy, but also it's God's nature to be righteous. But God would never supersede or more or less sacrifice his nature
for the sake of this rebellious and sinful men and women. So why should men become slaves of their nature only to protect women that don't honor and respect us? I do believe that we should do it, Maurice, for traditional women that are honorable and respectful. But there's any average woman that does not honor men or traditionalism, men have to condition themselves to say, nah, I'm not doing that. Because to me, your life is more important than being a sacrificial lamb. Somebody could argue, Maurice, that it's in their nature to be nurturing, but they're not nurturing. Most modern women are not nurturing at all. So when do we come to a balance where men and women both benefit? That's the question.
Okay, cool. That's actually an excellent question. And you make it, and it's tough because I see where you're coming from. Because
right. Your value means more, brother, just to putting your life on the damn line and defending your life for somebody that don't honor and respect you. I'm not gonna be no damn dummy for nobody. I'm not gonna be a token dummy. I'm not doing it. I do it for a woman to honor and respect me as a man, and a community that honor and respect men and masculinity. For those women, I put my life on the line. But there's any average woman that's modern and she's strong and independent, she don't need a man. I'm not doing that. And you shouldn't do it either, because I respect you as a man. Your life to me is more important than being a damn sacrificial lamb. But that's just me. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
I agree. Okay. Oh, you good. I agree. But it's so hard to make that distinction. You know what I'm saying? Because depending on who you ask, who's traditional, who's not. Now, me and you, I feel like we have a clear understanding of a traditional woman and a modern woman.
Yes, sir.
But there are a lot of men out here who, I heard you say, earlier how, like, you've got, your wife and your daughters and things like that. And I've been married twice. I've split twice, but I couldn't imagine those women fighting. And then I have, mother, stuff like that. And I've got sisters. But anyway, it would be hard, as much as I disapprove of the modern day mentality lifestyle. I hate it. You know what I'm saying? But what I say to that is the penalty for those women is singleness, leave them where they at, let them die alone, whatever the case may be. But I don't think the penalty should necessarily be war/death. You get what I'm saying? So I get it, where it's like, okay, you think you got to go ahead and go out there, you sign up for war, you go to battle. But at the same time, I think that it as far as the country, it would make them it would make us, I'm sorry, as a country, it would make us weaker, because many of them would get out there and they would not just be prepared. They wouldn't know they're not strong, they're not a man. They don't have the skills that a man has to go to war. So although I do want them to learn their lesson and being that, you want to do that? Okay, well, you get out there. I'm with you 100% on that point. But when I really put it in real life, and when I say, is that really what I want to happen? It's like, no, I don't want to go that far. You get what I'm saying?
I get your point. And give me 1 minute, Marvin. That's an excellent point. Hold your point, and I'm going to do a psychic soul train to ask the brothers, but hold your point. Shout out to my man, James Turner. Shout out to him for that $20 super stick.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right?
Shout out to James Turner. That's a good brother. I love me some James Turner. He's a good brother. James Turner said, Coach, I've been to 4 conflicts, U.S. Armed Air Force. When it comes to war, women don't want that smoke. Besides the difference between men and women in combat, men fight for each other and women fight for themselves. That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point, because you've heard the saying, Maurice, that a man's greatest ally is his dog. They said men are like dogs and women are like cats. And you get a dog is willing to put his life on the line for you. Get a German Shepherd will put his life on the line for his master. They don't think nothing of it, because their mission is to serve the man. But I just don't believe that men should just give their lives freely just for the sake of being men. And shout out to my homie, Mr. Palmer. And Mr. Palmer, Maurice speaks, will tell you that you need to change the law of your mind.
Okay.
And I agree with Mr. Palmer, because men shouldn't just be willing to give their lives as sacrificial lambs for nothing in return. I would argue, guys, that the men in Ukraine and the men in Russia are actually traditional, and the women respect traditional norms. But here in America, if you're modern and you're strong and independent, you don't need a man, then, come on, let's get it going. You go and get your gun, we're going to be on the front line, and you're going to get some of that smoke too. Starting with my man, Nice. Starting with LCN. Do you believe that, and maybe you answered the question earlier, but do you believe that men should only protect traditional women?
and that modern women should be prepared to defend this country. And then starting with LCN, back to casual observer, he already said it, Sam C, and the rest of the brothers. Go ahead.
I believe, yes, we should be protecting traditional women because if you really look at it, and I've seen this many times on the media, especially as black men, you'll hear women, and some are women say, oh, black men are bullet bags.
Right. Bullet bags, right.
Yeah, and you have to take that into consideration. The fact that you would look at me that way, the fact that you would treat me that way and say those type of things, and then when ish hits the fan, you want me to come and protect you. No, that's not how it works. If you don't respect me as a man, if you don't respect me as a person, then you should not have any of my services. You know what I'm saying? And I got 2 black parents, and my mother's Jamaican. My mom always told me, don't be no fool for no woman.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree, brother.
And you have to take into consideration, you as a man, you have a family of your own. You have a wife, you have a girlfriend of some sort, and she loves you. But you out here playing Captain Save a Hoe. God forbid you get killed for trying to save another chick. What happens to your wife now? What happens to your girlfriend? What happens?
Right. I totally agree.
No protection.
No protection. Right.
At the end of the day, what was the brother saying at the bottom? What was his name again?
Maurice Speaks.
Maurice. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Priest. My bad. What Maurice Speaks was saying about protecting. I'm all for that. However, with the modern women, they're on the reaping what they sow, and if death comes their way, that's what has to happen. Unfortunately,
sadly.
If you want to live haughty, if you want to live in this rebellious lifestyle, with a rebellious lifestyle, it can lead to death. It can lead to chaos. It can lead to dysfunction. And in a way, it's like you don't know what you have until it's gone. You know what I mean? That's what it's like. And so for us with the whole protection, I'm all for that. Yeah, protecting your wife, protecting your family. But this idea in our head talking about, and you have these women saying, oh, well, it's a man's job. But hold on now. I thought a gender is a social construct. I thought there was no such thing as gender roles. Now there's such thing as a man's job.
Right.
Then there's such thing as a woman's job. Oh, but you don't want to hear that though. You're a misogynist. No, it's just common sense. If you want me fighting for you, then you must be serving me in some type of way. I can't be out here fighting for you, doing this thing for you, but you out here living recklessly. It don't work like that.
Right.
Too. So when it comes on to the whole protection, yes, I'm all for that. But at the same time, you can't save everybody. So some chicks are going to have to learn the hard way. Some chicks going to have to sit at home and be, oh, I'm strong and independent. Well, check this out. You having your degrees in your big house is not going to stop 5 dudes from breaking down your crib.
Yes, sir.
Things to you. You know what I'm saying? With these,
that is true, man. That is true.
People out here and how society is moving and the recklessness and what's going on. All these young men beyond demon time and stuff. Like we live in some crazy times out here. But you see the woman who got the husband, the man who knows how to use a gun, the man who knows the Second Amendment and protect. God forbid somebody breaks into the house. He'll tell his wife, go hide. Take the kids, go hide. If something happens to me, this is what you take, and you take the car and you go. And he stays on the field and fight. But you, Miss Strong and Independent, I got my degree and I got an OnlyFans. That's not going to stop nobody. You think a dude, like you think a dude who calls himself a demon don't care? Oh, guys, don't attack this chick. She got a degree. She got her own condo. She got a G-Wagon. Leave her alone. No, they're going to beat you, get what they want from you, leave, and you're going to sit there in your nice condo violated. And what you going to do? Like, look what happened in the beginning of this whole pandemic. You had IG models getting nervous breakdowns because their favorite restaurant couldn't open. That's the strong and independent woman you speak of. The ones who can't cook water for their life. They'd burn down their house if they boil hot dog water. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not against protecting women because that's in our nature. You want to protect, you want to provide, you want to lead. I'm all for that because that's what my father does. It does in the family with my brothers and my mom. However, this idea to be out here throwing your life on the line for people, it don't work that. If you don't respect me as a man, you don't deserve my services.
Man, I totally agree with you, brother. And that was an excellent expose. I agree with you 100%. And shout out to Rorschach for the $2 super sticker. He said, in our nature, it equals sacrificial mentality. It's bad logic. And from a clinical perspective, we call it thought-stopping techniques. And basically, as a therapist in CBT, we use a rubber band, and we pull that rubber band hard. And when we get tempted to do something that goes against our cognitions, then we snap back into reality. You would be a fool to put your life on the line just because you're a man. It should be for women that honor
and support you as men. And so the question remains is that should modern women, not traditional women, be drafted? Should modern women, not traditional women, and we know many of the brothers said traditional women are low and far and few in between, but should modern women, not traditional women, be drafted to put their lives on the line? Because here in recently in the news in Ukraine, boys 18 to 60 are expected to defend their country and fight. And so I would say, guys, that most modern boys and modern men are too weak. They don't know the rights of manhood because many have been emasculated, and men are not allowed to be men in America anymore. And so I would say, when I listen to the brother Nice, men are not allowed to be masculine anymore. So what are we fighting for? Because like the song back in the past said, war, what is the cause for? Absolutely nothing. We don't make the policies and the laws in this country. So you expect to put your life on the line and like LCN said, be a bullet bad? I'm not trying to be no damn bullet bad. Not me. I'll be a bullet bad for my wife and my kids and maybe a good sister to support, but I'm just not going to give my life for the sake of giving my life for what? Because what are they giving you in return? She was made for you. Woman was made for man. Man wasn't made for woman. And that's the difference. That's what men, and see, guys, we've been so conditioned to see ourselves as nothing. We're willing just to put our lives on the line just for any damn thing. They can say, when you look at this latest election where they nominated a black woman in the Supreme Court, how many black men have been given positions of power? The Democratic plantation often, exonerate women. They don't exonerate black men. This whole Biden administration have been warring against black men since he got his ass in the White House. But we just give our lives for nothing just because we're men. And what I'm saying is, men, you have inherent worth as men. You should not just give your body and your freedom away just because. Men got to change how they think about thinking. The world is modern now, so should men still be traditional while the world is modern? Because the women are very modern. They're not traditional. Many say if they cook you a meal, that they're a slave. They don't even think you deserve like my grandma used to say, egg sandwich. Back in the day, at least you got a damn egg sandwich. She would cook, keep the house clean. But you can't even get a damn egg sandwich now, But they want you to put your life on the line. I mean, I was being real, fellas. They want you to put your life on the line. And so as a male empowerment specialist, I believe in male empowerment of all men. But because black men have been the muse of society, I have a special love for black men. I love the white brothers too, but I do have a special love for black men in America because we've been through a lot in this country and we're still not getting respected. We are just like I listened to what Nice said. Nice went through some of the same things I went through. Can you imagine having your career taken away based on false allegations? And many times if somebody said you did something, they're going to blame you. You're guilty until they're proven innocent. It's happened to me as a therapist. So a lot of brothers have went through that. They had their names and their careers destroyed of false allegations. And it appears that the more masculine you are, the more they will attack you because they want you to become what's called a Mitch. You know what a Mitch is, right? Just take the B word off and add an M. and they want you to be a Mitch, but I can't be a Mitch. Shout out to my man, James Ingram. Shout out to him, James Turner. I'm sorry.
That's a bet, right? That's
shout out to James Turner.
That's a deal, right?
After Beat Pop. And James Turner said, if modern women are claiming to be strong and went to war, the starting over process for masculinity would be in our favor, problem solved. I'm still traveling abroad. Don't get it twisted. And you should travel abroad, brother. If you can't find your wife here in America, go where you're celebrated instead of being tolerated. What's your take on the casual observer? I think you answered it earlier, but I'm going to start back with you, and then I'm going to go to Sam C., back to Nice again, Marby Speaks, and Mr. Business, and a few more of the brothers. But what's your take on the casual observer? Should only traditional women be protected? And maybe you said it before earlier, but I've said so much. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Only the traditional women should be protected. But I'd like to follow up with saying that what I hear a lot on the panel is the naturalistic fallacy, which is an appeal to nature as a means of justifying something that's otherwise injustifiable. Mm-hmm. So in the case of what's going on with these women in the Ukraine, and also just in general with more and more men feeling more detached from society and less invested in society, you're still expected to pick up your end of the gender roles. And in this particular case, we have a lot of black men who have an internalized sacrificial mentality, and as a result of that, sacrificial mentality, they're willing to even concoct the most like specific cases in order to argue that women shouldn't be on the battlefield. They're talking about walking around with like 80-pound bags, 100-pound bags, and things of this nature, when like all that's really required, particularly in the Ukraine, is just show up with a weapon. And if you have enough weapons on the front lines, then you're going to be able to like better kind of fend off the Russians. So black men really have, just in general, we have a very backwards kind of definition of masculinity, which also often involves ourselves advocating for doing something that's really like self-defeating in a sense, because you should allow these women to fall back and actually negotiate the gender roles again. But instead, what we have is a lot of men who like to tout how alpha they are. But as a result of this alpha mentality, we often end up in a very beta position. It's like the guys in this space who argue that women have no logic, and then the person talking, the man talking, has very little education, and the woman has gone on to take advantage of obviously the preferential treatment in the education system to come out on top. She owns a home, she's doing well, but you're talking about women having no logic when she's doing better than you. Doesn't make any sense.
That's a good point, man. That's a very good point. That's an excellent point. Awesome, Dre. How would you like to add to the conversation, brother? You say you don't mind putting your life on the line, man.
Oh, no, not at all. For black men in a heartbeat. Shout out to the black men. Shout out to the panel, and shout out to the chat. Truth be told, Coach, and the rest of you brothers, I'm a little jealous. And when I say that, allow me to qualify. I think about the Klitschko brothers and Lomachenko, and I think about Alexander Usyk. I don't know if you brothers are familiar with a lot of those names, but those was professional boxers. And the two that I just named, they have extremely lucrative boxing careers that they actually put on the line in order to put those on the back burner, I should say, in order to sacrifice for their country. And they actually, it means their country, Ukraine, means so much to them that they went back to fight on their homeland. And so that to be connected to your homeland that much, to care about your people that much because of what they've done for you, I long for that, because that's not something I've ever experienced as a black man in America. And then when I think about the fact that Biden gives up $350 million in aid, and you black men who pay taxes, and I'm just learning how to pay taxes and things, but we actually are funding this war through our efforts, but yet black men have never been given anything, yet every other race of people have received reparations for the atrocities that have happened to them, that America has been responsible for in some way, shape, or form. But yet you want black men to put their lives on the line and for people that don't care about us. And I could never do it in good conscience. And to the brother LCN, I will never forget that comment. That bullet bag comment really went through me, and I never heard that. I appreciate hearing that. I want to thank you for that.
Right. I want to reply to all things Nata Jean. Nata Jean, I do respect your position. Thank you for adding clarity to the conversation. You said the white women, Asian women, and Latino women are modern, and their men don't have these weird conversations. I would disagree with you in part. You can be modern in operation or functionality, but you're not modern in ideology. I'm going to say it again. You can be modern in functionality, but you're not modern in ideology. Modern functionality means you're just learning how to traverse through this maze called life, but you still have retained some of your traditional norms and your traditional roots as it relates to honor and respecting your man. In general, Asian women and Latino women are still very traditional. They're very modern to the point that they don't all stay home and take care of kids, and they do participate in the broader economy, but they're very traditional when it comes down to them honoring and respecting their men. When it comes down many times to our women, it's always a fight, jousting for power. And some say that it's white women and ADOS women that are giving them men the most hell. And so men are saying, why am I going to put my life on the line and be a bullet bag, like my man LCN said, just for the sake of gender? If gender is fluid, then everybody should be,
able and willing to put their lives on the line. Everybody should be ready to get down to the get down. You can't pick and choose when you want to be traditional. Either you're modern or you're traditional. And so all things Native Gene, I'm not attacking you there. I would love for you to come on and qualify your position. The brothers, we're not going to attack you, but I would love to hear your perspective because I think you mean well. But what these men are saying is that they're not going to put their life on the line just because they're men. That doesn't benefit men. That's not even healthy for a man. It's illogical just to put your life on the line and say, okay, well, I'm going to fight. But the whole damn time prior to fighting, you're not getting respected. Men like Nice lost his job off false allegations. I've lost jobs off false allegations. A lot of men have lost jobs and been unfairly targeted. But we're just supposed to give our lives and be bullet bagged just because we're men. That makes no sense. Because in fair exchange, there's no robbery. So all things, Gene, I do respect your position. I'm not attacking you. But I would love for you to come on and add to the conversation because you said at times of war, men go fight no matter how modern women feel. Well, in theory, that might be true. But if men are not getting anything in return, then they're saying, I'm not putting my life on the line. What's your take on that, Sam C? Because I do respect all things that Native Jean said. I think she is an advocate for men. But what's your take on that, Sam C?
Let me preface it with saying no taxation without representation.
Boom. Hold on. Freeze again. There you go. I agree with you 100%. I've said it before in the past. I did a show, guys. I want you guys to look at it. And it's called The Exodus. And that show said that taxation without representation and the mental breaking of the American man. Actually, I'm going to pull that show up. Guys, and we can critique it on today because that was an excellent show. That show is still getting views. But go ahead, Sam C, because you're right. I did a show talking about that. Go ahead, brother.
So I'm saying that to say that my answer is probably a little bit more nuanced, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to go fight for some women that doesn't want to adhere to the rules of my protection. So it does come with conditions. It's not anybody saying, hey, go out there and fight just because you're a man, I mean, ultimately, if you're going to pay with your life, you're going to have to make a lot of decisions behind that. And when asked if I would go to war, my personal decision is because of my community, not because of what some traditional or non-traditional woman does. But if there's a woman that's in my presence and she's looking for me to provide security or something like that, and she's not adhering to what I said before we go there or whatever the case may be, no, I'm not going to protect her. I'm going to walk away. That's common sense. But whenever I'm speaking to, whatever women are capable of doing, you could have them out there as fodder, but that's kind of a political question that I would have to go into more detail to be able to explain. Mm-hmm. So, but to answer your question, it's not worth it in that kind of a scenario to go to war for women that are not traditional if you're not receiving any benefit for it. And I'm not going to lay down my life for somebody that doesn't that is not bringing something back to the table. And all I was explaining is that war is not as simple as throwing somebody on the front line. If I'm out there, I want somebody that I know is going to be able to cover me whenever I'm going out on a mission. I don't want to get shot. And heaven, forbid, go to a gun range. Go and look and see what people are doing out there. And if you see people with unsafe practices, man, I've had guys shoot themselves in the knee from not having their safety on right.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's not, something you just walk into and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to take these 3 people because they're a woman or they're gender neutral or whatever. You got to be qualified for it. That's all I'm saying.
But for the ones that say the gender is fluid, should they be on the front line fighting too?
They can fight too. if they can carry the load, if they have the ability to keep up with the physical requirements, hey man, bring them on. You know what I mean? But I'm saying that most women do not have that capacity. That's all I'm saying. They could still serve as a nurse or serve as, logistics or something like that, but you're not going to be light infantry. I've seen that too. These women that think that they could carry that kind of stuff, or, one of my leaders one time had a joke. He was like, man, I was in Iraq and I had this woman that was egging to go to war. And he took her over to this mile of death, right? Where they had this road where they bombed everything out and it was bodies strewn all over there. He said, why don't you go and check out that car? She went over there, checked out the car and just started vomiting because there was a bunch of charred bodies in there.
Oh my God. Wow.
So I'm saying, whenever it comes to that mentality of being able to go to war, and you talked about this too, do traditional men in the United States have that ability to stomach war? I don't know.
Right. I don't think no man is really prepared, but I think men of the past was better prepared to deal with it than modern men, because once again, tough times make tough men, and weak times make very weak men. And I think men have been neutered here in America, Sam C, to the point they can't be men. Let me shout out this super sticker by Top Gun. Shout out to Top Gun for the $4 super sticker, $5 super sticker. He said, shout out to the whitewash trolls in the chat. And he said, you can't see. And then also shout out to Clement Gray. Clement Gray said no kosher women shouldn't serve the courts, the cops, and their mouth, no weapon enough. Give them a gun during war, only to get killed by them, only to call out friendly fire. I'm good. Yeah, man. I respect that.
That's a deal, right?
I respect that, Clement. That's a fair point. Some men are saying they don't want women fighting on the front for war. Some men say they don't want it. And, I'm not against if a woman feels like she got the mental dexterity and the physical dexterity to do it, then I would say that small percentage of women that can do it, let them do it. I'm not saying in general, I don't feel like most women can do it. Is there a small percentage that can do it? Yeah, I think there are some women that are mentally and physically tough to do it. But that's the exception, not the rule. That's an outlier. And what men are saying is that they don't want to put their lives on the line for situations like that, because it doesn't benefit men. What's your take on it? Once again, money, life, business. Should only traditional women be protected in the pursuit of war?
Well, if we're going off feelings, of course it's that way. But all logic points to the fact that there's no way to ascertain how a woman is going to be. So, in other words, as soon as the crap hits the fan, they're going to claim to be on the side that stays home. Mm-hmm. So there's no way for us to get that done. I think another question will better suit us is how to get the women to rally up their troops to go the right way, mm-hmm. and to celebrate us for what we're doing and their protection. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's not as simple as it sounds.
Right. And so, there are some that say that gender is fluid. So if gender is fluid, then that means, everybody on the spectrum of sexuality should be expected to fight, because you can expect heterosexual men to put their lives on the line just because. I think people have been so conditioned, guys, for men just to damn be servants, and as Dr. T.S. Johnson called them, concuserves, and I call them the commodities of subjugation. They just expect us just to give our lives just because, just being a tool. And to the panel, do you guys feel like that with modern masculinity, many times the world will see you as a tool, not to be compensated, but just being a tool? And because men by nature are doers, many times we sabotage ourselves, giving our best to women that don't deserve it. What's your guys' take on that?
I agree with that. Oh, so when I was talking, could I just talk in general?
Yeah, go ahead, brother. You can talk in general.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not against the idea of providing and protecting and building. I'm not against that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, as a man, there must be a standard and something put in place. Mm-hmm. Because when people start to realize that you're a providing person, you're a giving person, you're an understanding man, there will be people who will use that against you. Mm-hmm. And when you try not to do it, you'll have you've all heard the shaming tactic. Well, a real man would do this, which basically just all it's like, okay, what you're saying is you just want to manipulate me to get what you want from me, and not do anything in recompense. I'm not saying you're doing something to get something in return. No, as a man, you should be able to do things out of the goodness of your heart just from time to time. However, at the same time, there still needs to be a line drawn in the sand. Masculinity should be valued in this society. The labor of a man is what's needed in the society, but they don't value the man himself. They view us as like a cattle. Like they don't take care of the cattle. They just view us as just a workhorse to use. We're just exposable. And that's where the problem is. You know what I'm saying? We're more than that, and they don't value that in this society. It's not that as men we don't want to provide, we don't want to protect, we don't want to build. I'm all for that. That's what I want to do as a man. That's instilled in all of us, especially as black men. We should want to build, we should want to protect, but at what cost? Why should I be trying to build and protect someone who looks at me and treats me like shit?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest spit in the face. You're dealing with someone who doesn't like you, who treats you like garbage, who looks down on you, who spits in your face, who makes you feel like you're nothing. Why would you want to do anything for somebody like that? You let them be.
Yeah, and I think a lot of men, brother LC, and I think a lot of men are beginning to say the same thing. You know, a prophet is not worthy in his own country. You know, like Jesus. You know, Jesus was in his own country, and they didn't respect him. And you know, and a lot of men are saying that, you know, they just don't see the benefit of service. They don't see the benefit. Should women be expected to fight guys based on their political affiliation? Starting with Nice and then Maurice speaks. Should women be, you know, expected to fight based on their political affiliation? Because during this last election, about over 90%, I would say, of our women voted for the Democratic plantation. And so some feel that the policies of the Democrats don't benefit black men, black families, or black women. But should they be expected to fight based on their political affiliation? What's your take on that?
I would say yes, but back to the last gentleman who was speaking, women gonna only do what's in the best interest of them, and they will always take the path of the least resistance. You know, coming from law enforcement 10 years, all the hard 911 calls I would go to, you know, female officers would expect you to counsel them if it was like a domestic violence call, a call to require some physical labor. You know, so I guess I'm trying to use an analogy in response to that question, which is, yes, they should be required to, but there's no way of, you know, being able to know who's truthful or so on and so forth. So like I said, women would only do what's in the best interest of them. So if they Democrat today, will come war tomorrow, they're Republican. So my thing is, I just kind of accepted the facts for what they are now and treat women accordingly until they prove themselves worthy of my protection, of my provision, whether it's financially or however. So I take it for what it is. I treat women like children until they prove themselves to be adults, respectfully.
What's your take on that, Maurice speaks about based on political affiliation? If they vote for liberal policies, then should they be expected to protect themselves?
You know what? That's a great question. I'm gonna have to say no. And here's the thing about that. So I've been married twice, right? So I got married in 2016, and I got married again in 2020. I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. Both times I married black women, they went against my, choice, whatever. They went with their family and their friends. Although I explained everything, I explained the policies, we're Christians, so on and so forth. I went down the whole 9 yards. They still went their own way. So even as a man who's been in that position where I'm looking at these women like, what? You gonna go against me like that? I'm your leader, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the provider, I'm all of this, right? Great man. You still you side with your family and friends, right? You're in your feelings, you're voting emotionally, right? So with that being said, although I want to say, yeah, put them out there. They want to do that, put them out there. As Americans, when we go to war, we're a team. I wouldn't want women on my front line, right? Because guess what? The other team is going to eventually get to me. That's my logic. I think we all agree on like our perspectives on like as far as like these modern day women, we're totally 100% against them. I'm with it on that all day long. I'm a man that if you're a woman and you're not on my program, you got to go.
Right.
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm
Exactly.
firm on that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm firm on that.
I
But
totally
when we're
agree.
talking about putting them on the front line, I'm not, like I said, I don't think it equates to death. It just equates to you can be by yourself. I ain't gonna deal with you. You know what I'm saying? But so as far as the political affiliation, should they go as regards to that? The women that I see, these are weak women, even though they don't know how to pick a candidate the correct way or wisely, you can say. They're so weak. Although I want to throw them out there as far as what we're talking about, I can't put them on the front line. Although, if they were drafted, though, I would say this. I would not fight in opposition. So I wouldn't like say, no, don't do it. I'd let them do it. I'd let the government, if they want to draft me, I'm going to go ahead, go on out there. This is what you asked for. You going now. But if you're asking me would I put them out there, I wouldn't put them out there. If that makes any sense.
Right. I see your point. I guess what I'm saying, the government, but I want to respond to all things Nata Jean. And Nata Jean, I come to you in the spirit of respect. I don't think one time black men said that we hate black women. I don't know why people always say we hate black women. We just hate bad behavior. I clearly said that black men should protect traditional women that serve their men, regardless of hue. If you're a modern woman with traditional values, then you should be protected as well, meaning you work in a modern world, but at your core, you're very traditional. But what I'm saying now, Jean, is that men should not just give their lives for nothing. That's not mentally beneficial to a man. That's no different than men expecting women to nurture them in a time of sickness and health. But it goes back to what LCN said a minute ago. Men look at things based on the whole, and women tend to be very individualistic regardless of hue, white or black or Asian or whatever. So we're just trying to have this conversation. If you want to come up and talk, we're not going to attack you. I'm not going to attack you, and I'm not going to let the men attack you. But you said that the video was recommended, and we're talking about male issues. And that's one of the issues that happen many times when women come into men's spaces. When men begin to be unapologetically masculine, then some assume that, we're attacking black women, but we didn't attack black. Where did we attack black women? I don't remember none of these guys attacking black women. We said traditional women, traditional or modern women. Modern women can be any race of women, white, black, orange, red, purple, or whatever. But if a woman is traditional, and if she's a traditional black woman, because most black men marry black women, then those women should be protected. But what the men are saying, what the gentlemen are saying, is that they feel only a small percentage of women are actually traditional. And I agree with that, because most have not been conditioned to be traditional. So I don't expect men, like LCN said, to make their bodies bullet bags just for the sake of race. That's foolish.
I'm not going to interject.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not against black women. I'm gonna make something clear. I love black women. I have no hatred.
I do too. I got a wife, been married for 26 years. I love black women. Right.
The problem is, especially the black community, we struggle with two things, especially responsibility and accountability.
Right.
That is something that we struggle with a lot. And when we do have conversations like this, I'm not saying this is all the time, but I always hear, but what about the black man? What about the black man? You could have 2 live streams, Kosher. You have an hour live stream of holding black men accountable, and you could have a 5-minute video of holding black women accountable.
Right.
Which video do you think is going to be taken down for hate speech and misogyny and all type of things?
I agree with you 1,000%. Man.
You're allowed to openly critique black men. You're allowed to openly say what black men are doing wrong. And and this is not to get at the sister, but she said one thing about black women divesting. You don't see what some of these other races of men are doing to black women as well. These human toilets and ghetto gagging, but you don't hear them speak on these things.
Right.
So you're telling me you're allowing non-black men to degrade you, but when a black man holds you accountable, that's degrading to you? That's degrading to you. A black man trying to speak to you because we want the black community to change. In order for the black community to change, we need to address the issues. It's like viewing a cancer let's say you had cancer for example, and the doctor said, "Oh no, you're perfectly fine." Would you want to hear that? Would you want to hear the truth?
I totally agree, brother. I totally agree.
You hear the truth, you can get rid of the cancer. But if you keep talking about, let's just focus on the good thing, that's not going to help us. We need to figure out what the root problems are so we can get the weeds out of the grass so we can grow properly and actually flourish.
Amen.
I agree with you 1,000%, man. Let me shout out my man, MC Recovery and Wellness. And he said that just came out of the Black Mental Health Task Force meeting in LA. Anybody can be part of it. There's a website. Good work, Coach Clinician. No doubt. I appreciate it, brother. And so, I would love for Nata Jean to come up and add clarity, because I'm not here to attack her. But this is a male space dedicated to male empowerment. And, it appears, guys, that anytime black men come together and seek empowerment and demand rights, it's always this conscious, I call it the conscious cadre. They always want us to fall back in line and remember what we are here for, and just to give our services for free. And what I'm saying is that black men should give their service to women that honor and respect them.
the black women that honor and respect them. Because remember, ladies, if you believe in the Bible, and some of y'all go to church every Sunday, the gospel says that the woman was made for man to serve him as he turned around and served her. She was made to serve him, to help him meet his mission in the earth. And on the flip side, the man goes back and gives his life and serves his woman. But, it appears that men are just expected to give their resources, their time, their energy for nothing. And I think men are saying, no, we can't do that. It got to come with a price. If I'm going to give my best, you're going to best damn believe you're going to give your best. Because if y'all got sons, I know you don't want your son putting his life on the line just for any old dang woman. You want that woman to be able to add some value to your son's life. You would be less than a woman to expect your son to put his life on the line just because he's a man. That's foolish. That's no different than saying, all women should be in the kitchen cooking, or all women should be doing X, Y, Z. Where and how are modern men nurturing their men? They're not nurturing their men. And I will argue, Nata Jean, in all respect there, I'm not trying to attack you, that many black women are not divesting because black men aren't protecting them, because there are many black men that are good brothers and they're invisible. They're divesting because they want to be with white men, because white men symbolize power. So I don't necessarily believe that they're divesting because black men are not protecting them. They're divesting because they got unresolved mental illness and they see white men as being more powerful. And therefore, because of their hypergamous nature, they go over to white men. So that's my take on it. What's his name? Sam C., how would you like to add to the conversation, brother? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think you gentlemen are absolutely correct, and that there's a cost to everything, especially if you're expecting somebody to give their life. I always had a female friend ask me, if you're in the club, you're the kind of guy that wouldn't stand up for me. I said, you know what? You better make sure that you're above any kind of reproach if you expect me to do that. So you mean to tell me that if some dude walks up to you and you come back and you tell me he touched your behind, well, what happened before all that occurred? Are you outside half naked? Are you conducting yourself incorrectly? Are you out there on the dance floor grabbing, doing all kind of crazy stuff? So to just say that there's a blanket statement that guys need to go out there and lay themselves down, nah. There's a cost to everything, and you got to make sure that the woman that you're with is doing the right things and doing things that's going to help benefit you, your family, or your community. And that's not too much to ask. These women that come on there talking about, you guys hate single mothers. What are you doing to push the black family further forward? Right. If you find that you within yourself that you're doing the right things, maybe you got caught up in a bad situation. Okay, fine, I get that. But if you're that kind of woman that just, hey, I don't need no man, whatever, giving them grief and not cooking any meals, watch your kids go out on the, what do they call that, the welfare and all that kind of stuff, because you don't want to get a job, then yeah, shame on you. I don't want any parts with you, And if I had that conversation with that kind of a woman as a single man, man, I'm not going to give her a second thought. But, it's got to be balanced, like you said earlier.
Well, it definitely got to be balanced, and the reason why a lot of men are checking out, because anytime men begin to speak their grievances is always met with ill repute. But shout out to my man Michael Richardson, just showing some love for the class.
Right? That's a
Michael
deal,
Richardson.
Right? That's a deal,
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
As we seek to empower men, and as we seek to bring clarity, because I'm a firm believer, guys, that I don't think most modern women know what black men want. I don't think they know what we want or care about what we want. What's you guys' take on that?
I agree 100%.
Tell me how.
Yeah,
tell me why you agree on that. Go ahead. Go ahead. Speaks.
All right, cool. Yeah. So I don't think they care, because they're so wrapped up in the culture. They're so wrapped up in the music. They're so wrapped up in social media, and I mean, if they look like anything, their DMs are flooded. So they're being seeked after so much, but this is by guys who more so want sexual activity, not marriage. So they're being tricked into thinking like, oh, I'm hot, I can get any man at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So with that mentality, they don't really they don't care what a man who is quote unquote trying to take them seriously. They don't care what he wants, or so on and so forth, as you were saying. So I think that's the biggest thing in that, and it's just a lack of self-awareness too. They have a lack of self-awareness.
No, I totally agree. Nice sometimes. So women of today are entitled and need to prove their worth. And I agree, you have to compete for your men. Women of other countries compete for the love and affection of their men. Shout out to my dear friend Elisa Del Sario, and she's correct. She said it was honorable. It was honorable to give his life in battle. Black women have lost our honor. We don't deserve their life. Can't blame them. You're right. You can't blame them. You can't disrespect a man just to put his life on the line just because he's a man and he's black. That's foolish. That's no different than a man expecting a woman to nurture him and to serve him. What does he get in return? That's all we're asking. What is he getting in return? And most men are saying they're not getting anything in return but a headache. So they're saying, I'm not putting my damn life on the line. I'm not going to put my life on the line serving nobody if I'm not getting anything in return. We ain't going to take it for the team talking about black community, because these last elections, a lot of these women proved that they weren't for black men. They were for themselves. They voted for policies that did not benefit black men, black families, or the black community. They voted for themselves. So therefore, if they're going to vote for themselves, a lot of men are saying, let them fight for themselves. What's your guys' take on that? Sam C.
100%. Let them guys fight. The Vivica Foxes that was coming up on Ice Cube whenever he was trying to speak to different presidents and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, let them deal with some of their decrepit situations or some of their bad choices. At some point, we got to know that some people are just beyond help. You know what I mean? We got to let them just kind of wallow in kind of their filth for a little bit. Maybe, they'll be able to learn from those kind of experiences. I had a wife like that too, wanted to do all kinds of different things, but wasn't paying her portion to make sure that her responsibilities were taken care of. I was like, man, you know what? You don't want to listen to me? You got to go. Took my name off the lease, moved my stuff, deuces.
Yeah.
And people look at me and say, well, why would you do that? That's kind of cowardly. No, really, you just can't help some people. That's all it boils down to.
Yeah.
And the more you do, the more you just enable in that situation.
Right,
so
right.
You're right.
I totally agree. And, anytime men in general or black men, this young lady said no black women were loyal until black men started this hate black women movement. And I don't think nobody said anything about hate. The brothers have said 1,000 times they love black women. They just don't love the behavior. And I see why Nice said he treat some of our women like children. You can put the evidence before them. You can tell them that I love women and I love black women. We just don't love the bad behavior. And some are still drooling, like the kids in the special classroom. And, it doesn't make any sense, because nowhere have I heard these esteemed gentlemen say they hate black women. Maurice Speaks was married to a black woman. I'm still married to one.
Married to a
black woman.
Right. So, we don't hate them. We just don't like the behavior, and men should call out bad behavior. But you know what? Black men are not divesting per se. They're very apathetic, because the opposite of hate is indifference. So they're just indifferent. They don't care anymore. Like whatever. They tired of arguing. They're tired of fighting. You can put the evidence before them, and many are still deaf. They deny the evidence. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They argue through ad hominem attacks, and they fight you or flee. So guys will say, you know what, man, I'm tired of arguing. I told you, we love sisters, but if we can't find good sisters here in America, we're going to find black women from other countries. 1 minute the argument was y'all leaving America to marry white women. But then when they start marrying Afro-Latin women, the African women, again, with those sisters that are traditional, because black men want traditional women. Oh, well, you abandon your community. So it sounds like to me that men are expected to be slaves, just to do what the gynocrats tell us to do, and we don't supposed to have a voice. We're supposed to have mental taxation without representation. And I did a show on that called The Exodus, and I'm gonna bring that up in a minute. And we're just supposed to just take it and just deal with it. And sadly, some of you ladies are dealing, like Dre said, they, got a schema affliction. Some of y'all have been hurt by dusty men. I don't think the brothers on these panels are dusty men. I think they're good men. But some of you have gotten with a percentage of men that are dusty, and we don't endorse dusty, violent, horrible men that are bums. We don't endorse bummy men. But like one brother said earlier, if we had a 10-minute, hour show
talking about how bad men are, be claps and amens, yes, Lord. But then when we put the camera light back on how women need to be held accountable, then we hate black women. So it's always we hate black women when it come down to correcting bad behavior, but when it come down to the bad behavior that black men do, then all of a sudden it's all applause. And guys are just saying we're tired of it, man. You know, I love these brothers. I want to see these brothers happy. When they go to the grave, I want them to have a smile on their face. I don't want them to be stressed out and they dying off early because of stress. And many men are dying off early just because of stress. I want these brothers to be happy. And, you know, Maurice, you talked about you were married twice or in a relationship twice. Yeah. If you don't mind sharing, talk about some of the struggles you went through in your marriage, man. You don't have to get too much into your personal business.
Yeah, that's cool.
But go ahead, talk about it. What are some of the struggles you had? Were they compliant? Were they constantly challenging your authority as a husband? What were the issues?
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, so the first one was the mother. I got 2 kids. I got a son. He'll be 8 this year. My daughter, she just turned 6. But anyway, my first one was more traditional. I'm 33. She just turned 38, 39. So she's older than me. But anyway, she was more traditional. She worked, but like she would, you know, clean, cook, fold clothes, wash clothes. You know, she took care of that household. So she was but on the other side of things, though, she was kind of combative, couldn't tell her nothing. You know, she was going to run the show. You know, she was going to have it her way. I mean, I remember it was a time where, and this has been years ago, but I was trying to get a loan or something, right? So they approved me for the loan, but she was driving a car that was in my name. And all I needed was the keys, you know, just to, you know, they just like, well, just bring the car, let us take a picture of it, and then you good. We just need some collateral. So anyway, do you know she did not? She was at work. I said I came up there on my break. She would not give me them keys. She was like, "No, you ain't getting that loan." I said, "You can't get it." And I mean, we needed like a few. I'm thinking it was for maybe $1,000. It was a little small loan, but anyway, that I was just like, wow. But just not only that, but just in many ways, like whether it was down to like naming the key. I mean, you name it. I had to fight for everything while I was in that situation, you know what I mean? So eventually things got out, even down to what church we were going to go to. You know, she would not let me lead to save her life. You know what I'm saying? She just, it was rough. And then that second one, the second one, she was good, but very emotional. Couldn't tell her nothing. I couldn't correct her on anything. You know, she wanted to lead the charge, but she was, don't get me wrong, she was somewhat submissive, but once again, I'm a strong man. I'm a strong alpha, whatever you want to call it. If I'm doing this, doing that, paying majority of the bills, making sure you got everything you want and need, and making sure you have, you know, she won't take trips. You know, we're taking trips, but sometimes I might say, well, you know what? Now it's not a good time to take a trip. We can go there, but let's wait until we're in a better financial situation. But I mean, she would just be sad. I mean, just want full control. You know what I mean? And it was just crazy. And at this point, you know, I'm hearing some of the other guys who are talking about some of these other women, and I'm kind of like, that don't sound bad, you know, because all my life I've dated, you know, black. I'm a guy who's never had a problem getting women. You know, I played football, ran track, did that. I'm in the state of North Carolina, just like you are.
Yeah. We got to hook up, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in the Triad area. I'm in Greensboro right now, but anyway, never had an issue with women, so. I always, and I know there's a stat out saying that, you know, women are leaving the marriages, leaving this. I'm gonna be honest, man. Every relationship I've ever been in, I cut that woman off. A woman has never left me.
Right.
But I'm a guy, you know, I'm a strong, solid guy in the church. Never smoke, never drink, take care of my body, work out, work hard, you know, make good money. I'm making above 50 a year. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
You know, but anyway, I say all that to say that I'm no square. You know what I'm saying? But women know. I talked to one of my exes probably a year ago or something, just on the phone. I see her out somewhere, and she said, "How's it going? I know you cutthroat. You don't play." So I have a reputation of, okay, he ain't gonna play. Like if you moving a certain way or whatever, you ain't respecting him, he's not gonna deal with you. So.
Exactly, and that's the way it should be. You know, I said it over and over again. If women want men to protect them and to love them, then you got to protect his ego as a man.
You can't protect a man's ego by constantly challenging his power. That's disrespect. And as Alicia said, it's very disgraceful. Hold tight, read these super checks. I hold your point because you dropping some fire for my mind, man. I like that fire.
Fire for your mind.
You must be a Leo like me. You got to be a Scorpio. When's your birthday, man?
A Cancer, July 21st.
Oh, you're a Cancer. You sweet. You're a good guy, man. You believe in family. You're an empath. You believe in
I do.
cooking meals and treating your woman good. But y'all
you right.
but y'all Cancer don't make you mad though. Y'all damn Cancer got a high
That is
homicide
true.
rate. Cancers will snap in a heartbeat, man.
Yeah.
But good people though, man, got good hearts. But people take a Cancer's kindness as being weak. Shout out to Dre for the $5 super sticker. Thank you, Dre. I appreciate it, awesome Dre. Thank you, brother. Shout out to Top Gun. Top Gun is killing it. Top Gun said, "I'll buy your clothes, fight your wars. I cook your dinners too as soon as I get home from work."
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
What he's saying, man, for some women, it's true. They expect you to still do everything while they give you nothing in return. They say that being a woman makes them a slave, and you got to be a servant to them, and you get nothing in return. And a lot of guys, man, are saying they're getting tired of it, man. They're getting tired of it, and it's getting to the point where men don't care anymore. Coach leaves scripture out of it. They already listened to these jellyback preachers for speaking to women's emotion, loving, talent, parent, and dress, which is a vision of a man. Scripture is no win. Yeah, I feel you, brother.
That's a bet, right?
That's a fair point. The scripture is still powerful.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
And I appreciate that, brother. It's still powerful. But I tried to bring clarity, but sadly, Clement, you're correct. Many times, many modern preachers are not preaching the objective gospel. And because of that, a lot of women are still in a state of irrepair. Who's the next? Hold tight. Give me another. Insert Wellness and Recovery. He said that, thank you for that $5 super stick. He said black women act as if we are their property. Wow, they should have their cheat sheet to care and to love us. That is so true. What's your take on what Top Gun said about many think that we're their property? What's your take on that, Maurice Speaks? And then get back to the women that said that, they know you don't play. Hold tight. Let me shout out Sam C for that $10 super sticker. And that is a deal, right?
Okay.
But go ahead, Maurice Speaks, because you dropping some signs, brother. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. So you said, what's my thoughts on his comment on women thinking that we're their property?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So yeah, women do think that, especially in the black community. And as men, what we have to do is grab the bull by the horns. Mm-hmm. I was on a panel last night, a local one, and most of these guys were from Winston-Salem, and I'm from Winston originally. But anyway, they want to put a lot of the accountability on the men. I started talking about the women, and you'd be surprised. They let me go for a second, and then they wanted to shut me down, and they didn't let me get any closing remarks. But anyway, I won't get on that. But anyway, but to say that, but we have to grab the bull by the horns, meaning that we have to stop allowing these women to run our households. I work with a large group. I drive trucks, but me and the men, we got a good community. We talk, but a lot of men, we joke around, and some of us ask like, who running your house? And they say, she run it. And I'm like, guys, you guys are insane. So a lot of these men, even men who make decent money in our community, we don't even value ourselves enough to run our households. Like, grab the bull by the horns. And I get into this thing to where I understand that some men have been married for a certain amount of years, and they feel like, well, you know what, I ain't about to buck, because if this thing breaks, I might have to pay alimony, I might lose the house, I might do this. But I go back to the scriptures that talk about you can't serve two masters, you can't serve God and money. So as a man, you got to make a choice. So if serving God means, hey, you got to cut that woman off and you might lose a few dollars, hey, do what you got to do, but you have to be able to stand firm in your masculinity.
Right.
A lot of men, like I said, they're tucking their nuts in between their legs, and they're taking the back seat. So they're allowing these women to feel like they do own them, they do control them. So
right.
A lot that's on the men. You know what I'm saying?
That's on the men, right? Right. I totally agree. And Natalie Jean said that black women have better success rates than other men. Well, listen, if you feel that that's the case, Natalie Jean, by all means, go with other races of men. You feel the black men are mostly criminals and because I think she said here,
Yeah,
which is
Coach, may I say something as well? Yeah.
yeah. Give me a minute. I'm gonna let you say it. Hold up, LCN. If you think that all black men are criminals, the majority of black men are thugs and criminals, which is a thinking error. We call it overgeneralization. It's catastrophizing, and that's a byproduct of mental issues. Because as a therapist, that's what it is. But if you think if you think that 90% of black men are thugs and criminals, that includes me and the brothers on the panel. Fine, you should go with men that you feel that are better. I don't have an issue with it. I'm sure the men on the panel don't care, because I promise you, when you think about a lot of these sisters that have been going with white men, a lot of these men are using you for fetishes, and they're using you. Many of them being killed or deleted. And when you go with men from other cultures, they're going to expect you to fall in line. If you don't fall in line, it's a penalty. American black men are so egalitarian to the point that some say the black men in America are weak. We tolerate so much. We don't expect anything. So if you feel that black men are horrible, we're criminals and thugs, hey, I'm not mad at you, sister. Do what's best for you. If you feel like white men are better, superior, they make you happy, go ahead. Enjoy your life. I'm not mad at all. I wish you well, because I tell black men to go with women that honor and respect them, women that serve them, women that are willing to listen and follow their lead as men. And if they can find their wives in other countries, then I tell them to do the same thing. So I'm not mad at you, sister, if you feel that white men are superior and other races of men are better. Not mad at all. But go ahead, LCN. Go ahead, brother.
You know what? When I'm really reading all things Nada Jean's comments and really analyzing it, there's a quote I say to myself where it's like, some people were meant to die as fools and never learn to live as a wise individual. And what her comments remind me of is like an Uncle Ruckus from Boondocks, or Samuel Jackson's character from Django Unchained. That's what it reminds me of. And like I said, I come from a 2-parent household. I'm not from the hood, so that statement she said is already false. So you could tell majority of the things that she's saying is coming from a hurt place. Maybe a black man in her past must have did her dirty, so now she's projecting on other people.
Right, that's true.
And what you need to realize with these conversations like this, they don't want black men to have a good image in the media, because what we need to understand is the media is a virtual resume for the world, and how we carry ourselves in the media is how the world is going to perceive black men.
That's true.
So when you have black men having these constructive conversations and building off one another, they don't want to see that. They want to see the two rappers beefing over some dumb shit. And the fact that she even said this too, if black women are terrible, why are y'all creating single mothers and other races of women? But hold on, what about that white DJ who gave all those black women HIV? What about him? What about those Arab dudes doing all that defecation on women, black women, all that crazy stuff? Look at ghetto gaggers. What are they doing? Force feeding black women their own vomit and all that other crazy stuff. No one speaks on it. What happened? Look at Chad Wheeler. What he do to Jamel Hill? Where were all these women speaking against the white man? They ain't saying nothing. So let me get this straight. You have all the balls in the world to criticize your own race of men, but when other race of men do something to you, you want to stay quiet. That's how much you value the white man. You're willing to let him degrade you and do you dirty in the media and not say nothing because you're so desperate to be beside him.
Right. That's an excellent point.
And then she's also talking about no, we see black women creating crime all over the place, and black men are killing black women but black men kill black men as well. All the crazy stuff happens. White men kill white men. Do you hold them accountable? Asian men killing Asian men. Do you hold them accountable? And you say you don't know what ghetto gaggers is. I know you're lying. That's a damn lie. I'm all for. I'm not against. I'm not saying black men should hate black women. I'm not for that. I'm not part of this. Disgrading black women, make black women feel like shit. But what I don't like about people is that anytime it's time to hold black men accountable, no one has nothing to say. And then here she's speaking about Zach Stacy threw a white woman in the TV. But do you see us black women agreeing with what he did? Do you see us black men agreeing with what he did? He was wrong for that. We held him accountable for that. But for some reason, anytime a black woman does wrong, there's always an excuse. And in the same time, I don't put it all on black women. I blame the hoteps, I blame the back pastors, and I blame all the panderers. Because I agree. Been fed is lies for the most of your life. That is what you're going to believe for the rest of your life. You're going to believe the beautiful lie because the beautiful lie is like baby food. It's easily digestible, but the harsh truth is like solid food. You got to chew on it, marinate it, take it into consideration. And that is something we lack, especially in the black community with some black women. It's accountability. Accountability forces you to look at yourself and say, you know what? Part of the problems that I have in my life is because of me. I'm not here to blame black women, all black women, because like I said, as black men, I can agree we've dropped the ball. I'm 20 years
Hold
old.
on
I
one
see what's
second.
going on
I
to a
think my
certain
mic
degree.
messed up.
Some black men, a lot of older black men, they dropped the ball. They ain't doing their thing. Some black men are being bums out here and are not doing what they're supposed to do as black men. That is true. Granted, but at the same time, we're not going to sit here and act as if black women ain't doing the dirt. If you're part of the black community and the black community is in shambles, that means you're part of the black community. You want to
Right.
talk about these black men being thugs and criminals? Well, who's giving birth to these thugs and criminals?
Right,
Because
right.
when some of these young black men are being thugs and criminals and selling the drugs, I don't hear some of you racist women say, "No, son, stop doing it." No, you taking his money. It's when he gets shot down. Now you want to talk about, oh, he was a good child. No, he was a product of something. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. People always say, and I appreciate your honesty, but people always castigate a majority of black men and say the elders failed us. I think that's, and I see your point, LC, and I love you, brother, but I think that's a myth by and large. Was there a percentage of black men that failed the black community? Yes. That's like any community. It ain't, no difference when people say, well, black people kill black people. It depends on your ethnic pool. You do what's according to your ethnic pool. Just like they always talk about, black men killing black women, but domestic violence is bi-directional. And many times it's initiated by black women. They initiate the violence, and the men sometimes they finish it. But they don't talk about that. And so this negative dark cloud about everything bad is black men, never no accountability, no self-introspection. I've said several times we don't endorse bum guys or dusty guys. This channel is about male empowerment, to empower men, for men to get the best outcomes that they deserve. But for some reason, man, anytime... Just like Eve in the garden, it's always your fault. When she wrong, it's your fault. When you're right, it's your fault. It's always your fault. So guys just say, you know what, you can't win for losing. They don't even argue with them. They can come in here and say, black women, want to date other races of men, and go ahead. I'm not mad at you at all. If you found that white men are better men, they treat you better, even though it's no evidence to the contrary, because like somebody was talking about, when these white men have been killing these sisters in the media, a lot of black women won't say a word. There have been many cases where white men have been killing black women in these divestment movements, but they won't say nothing. So that just speaks to the hypocrisy. Always blame the black man. It's always black man. We bad. We the devil. So it is what it is, man. I don't, hey, if white men make you happy, Netta, Jean, hey, by all means, go for it. I feel like it's a possibility that whatever hurt you went through in your past, now you associate all black men with your past hurt. That's why you need therapy, and that's why you need counseling.
She's hurt in the comments. She's hurt. You can tell by the comments. Something really happened to her.
Yeah. Right. Right. And that's okay if something happened to her. That's why she had to get help. Because as a therapist, what I'm seeing is a lot of thinking errors. A lot of overgeneralization, catastrophizing, and you're castigating 100% of black men as something negative. And that's not fair. It's not even fair. It doesn't make any sense. But if you feel the white men make you happy, dear, by all means, I wish you well. I'm not mad at you. I hope you find happiness in dealing with white men. I don't have a problem with it. Because I tell these men on the panel to go where you'll celebrate it. They feel like the women in their country are not holding them and holding them up and protecting them as men mentally. Brothers, y'all go where y'all feel like I can get the best love and support. And that's why we have these conversations. LCN, you're a very bright young man. You're young, but you're very bright. Is it hypocrisy to expect men to fight when we all are equal? I'm going to ask you, and Maurice speaks the question. Is it hypocrisy to expect men to fight if we all are equal, in your opinion? You there, LCN?
Are you talking to me or Maurice?
I'm talking to you, LCN. Is it hypocrisy to expect all men to fight if men and women both are equal? Is it hypocrisy in your opinion?
That's actually a good question. When you're talking about fighting, do you mean like I'm talking about an all-out war on America where we have to go out there and fight, or just like
right? If according to stats, they say all black men are locked up. We're bums, we're criminals. So based on that, 10% of the population, they say 2% are in prison because we're all the bums and criminals. Then if we are equal, then should our women compensate for the percentage they're in jail? What's your take on that?
Well, that's actually a very good question. Well, I do believe it's an hypocrisy, because equal means both sides equal opportunity. It's the both, like 50-50, whatever I go through, you go through. So in a way, with situations like this, it just shows you that you want the benefits of being a quote unquote man, but the hardships that come with it, that's not what you want to be a part of. You see what I'm saying? And I find it very funny how we're equal. And you know, the funny thing is they don't even view us as equal. They view themselves as superior. So if you're superior, why should I be put on the front lines? You fight for me. Let me be the stay-at-home husband if you're superior to me. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
If you're superior to me, don't come about it's a man's job. I thought you said that gender is a social construct.
It's a social construct, right?
There should be no such thing as gender roles, and we shouldn't associate specific genders to roles. Okay, then you do it. When something comes bump in the night, you check it out. You know what I mean? Let me stay in bed, baby. Check it out. I'm scared. You know what I'm saying? So it is hypocrisy. It is hypocrisy. But at the same time, like when it comes on to defending, I'm not against going out and fighting as well. But at the same time, it's so funny how when they speak of equality, they talking about the minute things, the small things. They're not talking about the grander scale things. No, you can fight the world. I'll stay at home. But I'm talking about, you know, you die, you be a bullet bag, you lay your life down for me. You know what I mean? Even though I don't respect you, I don't view you as anything. I view you as a psychic commodity. I view you like a guard dog. Come protect me. And then when the protection is over, you just, okay, good, go dog, good dog, and go back to your being strong in the
Right. That is so
like
true.
That. I'm not against the whole protection of women. I'm not against that. I'm not this hate women. No, of course, I'm all for protection and providing. But at the same time, if you're not going to value me as a man, if you're not going to value me as an individual, if you're not going to respect me, and if you're not going to really be about what you're saying, then I have no reason to do anything. So it is hypocrisy.
Yeah, it is hypocrisy. What's your take on the Maurice Speaks, real quick? But before you say so, let me read the super sticker out to the Ingram experience. He said the schemer are being viciously and vigorously pounded. Salute to the Ingram experience. You funny, man. But what's your take on the Maurice Speaks? Is it hypocrisy to expect men to fight if we all are equal, in your opinion?
Well, that's a great question. And when it comes down to it depends on what your ideology, how do you think, right? What state of mind are you in as a man? Or it's crazy because it's like yes and no. So I say yes in the sense of if you subscribe to the fact that men and women are equal and then they're just having the men go out there and fight, yes, it's hypocrisy. But I think in reality, if you sit down with most logical women and you just break things down and you say, oh, so do you think that most women that I've talked to several women, like not necessarily relationship, but relationship and friend level, and had these conversations as we went through this political battle that we just went through. Mm-hmm. And many of them believe, they're like, no, I know I'm not as strong. I know I'm not like a man. I know I can't do this. I know I can't do that. But it's like if you look at the news and some of these movements that they got going on, I think these movements are smaller than we think they are. It's just like if something happens, right, there's a domestic situation, the domestic violence, whatever. The man knows the police are coming for you. There's no equality there. There's no, okay, let's get this side, that side. No, the guy's going straight to jail. So it's like, in a sense of that, like I can see both arguments. Like I said earlier, if the government decided like, okay, we're going to draft these women too, I'd be cool with that. I'd be like, hey, that's what they asked for.
Right.
You know, so I see both sides. But then again, if it's my choice, you get what I'm saying? Am I really putting women out there that I know ain't ready to fight no war? You know, we going down if we put women out there. Nah, I ain't going to put them out there. But I get the point 100%. So if someone's making an argument like, oh, y'all equal, okay, go ahead. Like, I agree with that point. Does that make sense? You know, I'm on both ends. I'm like, I get it. Because I'm like, okay, this is what you voted for. Okay, come on, let me
Right. That's what you voted for. Right. You want to be equal, then fine, go fight. I don't bother me. I mean, let me stay home. Damn it. You know, you go fight. You go take your guns and go load them tanks up and them missiles, man. You know.
Right, exactly.
I ain't trying to take an L. So we're going to talk about solutions real quick, guys, and then we're going to end the stream. This has been an awesome stream. I really appreciate you guys. And, you know, we have these conversations, man, because it appears that there is a percentage of good women that are trying to learn and change. Shout out to Elisa Dalla Rosario. But it appears, guys, that the writing is on the wall. But before we end this stream, Is the black community done? Starting with LCN and then Maurice Speaks, and is it worth saving in your opinion?
Well, that's a very good question. That was a very good question. There's this one YouTuber who spoke on it, Black Male Advice TV, Ringo TV Raw. He talked about it, and he said something about the death of the black family. And from what I see, like, yeah, the black family is destroyed. From what's going on, from what we see, from the conversations that are being had, love is ceasing to exist. You know, there's no respect on both sides. You know, yes, there's a lot of black men who don't respect black women, but we're not going to act as if black women don't respect black men and respect black men. And it's real bad out here. And it's gotten to a point that the black man, the black woman loving one another and building a family, it's not happening anymore. It's not happening anymore. And really, as a young man, as myself, I want to build a family. I want to have that in the future. And how the future is looking, it's not looking too bright. And the only really solution I could really say for black men is, like, you know, keep the Most High first and everything that you do, but like self-improvement. Like, that's the biggest thing that you could take from this whole situation. Self-improvement, getting your mind right, your body right, your finances right, your spirituality right, like really becoming a well-rounded man. Because it's gotten to a point around in the world, when you look in the media, the black man is not being respected. The other races of men don't respect black men. Our own race of women don't respect us. There was a point in time that when a black man walked into a room, there was respect, reverence, hell, even a little fear there. We were like kings, or like when we walked into a room, it was like gods on earth. And now it's like we have fell from grace. So with conversations like this, it should motivate young black men and to the older black men to really self-improve, build themselves, and become greater version of ourselves, because the world is ours. And it's
no doubt.
And it's really time for us to really take back what's ours and build our reputation and create a better image for ourselves and for the next black men of the next generations to come.
No, I totally agree, man. And you know, it's not just an attack on black men, it's an attack on masculinity in general. But like Tavis Smiley said, when white America get a cold, black America get a flu. And so Maurice Speaks, what's your take on it? Based on the question that I asked, is the black community dead, and is it worth saving?
That's actually a good question. And you know what, I've been wanting to publicly, because I've talked about it privately, but I've wanted to publicly answer this question. And I don't know who's watching me, it is what it is, but I got to put what God has put on my heart out there in the airwaves. I will say that I do think the black community is doomed.
It's doomed.
It's doomed, dead, whatever word you want to put out there. It is doomed. It's going downhill. I hate to put that out there, but it is what it is. I got to keep it real. It's doomed. It's dead. I do little videos on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and like a few years ago, like I was getting, you know, I would get tons of views. You know what I'm saying? No problem getting views. But here lately, I mean, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Right.
And these people, and I know a lot of people, they just do not want to support. You know what I'm saying? And they're go ahead. They're going away from that positive talk. They're going into what these rappers, they're going into what the media is talking about. They feeding all of that stuff. They are just not buying into it. And as soon as I started seeing those numbers drop drastically, I said it's over for them. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to hear that. They don't want help. And black men, you know, like I said, they got to stand up. But a lot of these black men, you start talking positivity and them, letting them know that they're this, they're that in a positive way, they start to fold. They're like, yeah, but you know, she wear the pants, and it's like, wow, like really, dude, are you really folding like that? So with all I know, and all the people I know, and the stuff that I know, I have to come out here and say, yes, it's going downhill fast. It's not dead all the way, but it's dying. I don't see it turning around. It
sounds like it's on life support.
Right. I don't see it making a U-turn, if I'm being honest with you.
And also, it sounds like it's too many of these, men and women, too many hyenas.
Right. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's exactly right. I agree with you. Yep.
It sounds like it's too many hyenas because you got too many simps. And you got too many women that are constantly, you know, you got the male simp. He's a hyena. You know, he got the internal parts of a man, but he, you know, a hyena is androgynous. You don't know what it is. They got male and female parts. And you got the women that got the female parts, but then they got the mental thinking of trying to destroy their men. Yeah. You can't be an alpha lion in a family when there's a bunch of hyenas. So it's too many hyenas, man. And, you know, the men are saying that, you know, what am I getting in return? You know, this poor lady already accused all black men as being criminals and violent. And it's okay. That's why I tell men, you know, protect yourself, love yourselves, get your money up, focus on yourself. If you can't find your wife here, and it's hard to find here, go abroad or just focus on building yourself, man. Don't even worry about it. Because it appears to me, Maurice speaks the beast, that many just want you to be a slave and to give your life and your servitude for nothing in return. And to me, that's foolish. Let me read this super sticker out real quick, and we're going to talk about solutions. Then we're going to end this stream because many say we don't offer solutions. Because many times the solutions that we offer does not appease their fickle nature and their fickle ego. But Nice sometimes said that marriage is a joke. Women have too much power over men and his resources. Government incentives, child support, spousal support allow women wives to be disrespectful and not accountable.
Right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
True. I agree with that. Right? That's a deal, I tell the women Maurice speaks to the women that are listening. If you really believe in family and community, then we need you to start advocating with the policymakers and advocate for a change of the laws. Until we see you as a collective band advocating for laws to change, they don't expect black men to give their resources, their time, and their life to the government and the state. When I see a band of women coming together, marching with black men to have these laws changed, then you can't ask black men to become indentured servants. So let's talk about solutions. LCN, you're a very bright young man. What are the solutions?
Well, the solutions is, or what I could say, two of them is being accountable and responsible. What you said, which was really pivotal in the beginning, you said about how the solutions that you give are not, people don't like them. Well, that's the thing about solutions. Solutions are the harsh truth. The harsh truth is you looking yourself in the mirror and holding yourself accountable for your actions and understanding that you're part of the problem. If the black community, if we as black people want the black community to change, the white man ain't gonna do it. The Arab man ain't nobody gonna do it except for us. And in order for the black community to change, we need to look at ourselves and say, you know what? There are things that we have to change. And the fact that we as black men can sit and have these conversations is opening up these type of ideas. But because the people who don't like accountability, who want to be in the dysfunction, because it's real easy to sit and shit. That's not hard to do. But it's getting up now and dusting yourself off and cleaning yourself up. That's where the problem comes, because it takes work. In order for the black community to grow, we must hold ourselves accountable and responsible. And if we cannot do that, then the black family will be over for good.
Yeah.
Right. Maurice speaks. You're an elder, not an elder, but you're a younger brother. LCN is a little puppy. We're the old dogs. He's a wise young man. But before I talk about it, my dear friend, shout out to my dear friend, I call her the original Chocolate Smurfette. She said, Coach, we know they like to have a la carte and don't want to introspect. And so you're right. That's why they don't want to hear solutions. And so it's like, I call it biblical a la carte. Maurice speaks. They pick and choose parts of the gospel they don't want to live by. But when it comes down to what the Bible says about mandates of being a wife and honor and respecting your husband and submission, obedience to him, they don't want to take those parts out. A lot of therapists, guys, want kumbaya therapists. They want, like that song by Shaka Khan said, tell me something good. And the gospel also said in the latter times they won't want the truth, but they will more or less won't heaping upon themselves men that's going to tickle their ears with things that make them feel good. But the things that make them feel good is not always the things that are good for them as relates to their soul. And that's why I say I think men should focus on themselves, focus on their spirituality, focus on their love for God and Christ, get the money up, and try to go where they're celebrated instead of being tolerated. That's a solution for me. Because what I feel like they're saying is that the percentage of women that are actually wife ready, you guys saying it's less than 50%. Some of you guys saying it's less than 20%. So if 20% of women are not traditional wife ready, then what are men getting in return? What did men get 60, 70 years ago? We're just going to argue. We're going to look at what they got for their service as men. They got virgins. They got women that had no kids. And they got women that were wife ready. So you want men to give you their best when you can't give them your best? So men are saying, you know what? I'm just going to focus on me because it's no benefit. A man would be a fool to give his best if he's not getting nothing in return. So Maurice speaks. Let's talk about solutions. Where do we go from here, brother?
All right. Thanks for asking. First and foremost, platforms like these and anybody else that's listening, even including myself, keep pumping the same, type of content out there trying to hold women accountable and hold ourselves accountable. So solutions, men, continue to become the best versions of yourselves. So we're talking mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, politically, you know, in every way. Continue to become the best version of yourselves. As far as the women in your life or the woman in your life, hold her accountable. If she's not willing to get with your program, cut her off. This is a simple solution. Cut her off. You got to stop bonding yourself with these unruly women and these women that will not allow you to lead. Stop bonding yourself with them. That's one of the top problems in the Black community. We get with these women and we feel like we got to stay with them no matter what. We are not willing to cut these women off. Cut them off. I've been married twice. I'm not proud to say I've divorced, but I'm not going to let no woman run me in the ground. If I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm keeping God first, so on and so forth, taking care of the household, making sure she's good to go, making sure the kids good, whatever the case may be, guess what? I'm going down the right path. If she doesn't want to follow me, I have to be willing to cut her off. Guys, you have to be willing to do this. And like I say, cut off anything, any form of toxicity, you know, whether it's in the community, your friends, whoever, you know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do. But these are things that are going to be solutions. If you're not willing to do that, then you don't want help. A lot of y'all, you know, stuck in the mud. Y'all don't want to get out the mud. People are providing solutions for you all, but you want to be stuck. It's like you love victimhood. Stop running the victim Olympics. Let me say this, last but not least. Ignoring a problem does not make you stronger. It makes you delusional.
Right.
Ignoring a problem doesn't make you stronger. It makes you delusional.
I agree. You're correct. You're 100% correct, man. And you're right. That's some fire for your mind. You know, I normally quote
fire
for your mind. Because you're right, man. Ignoring the problem does make you delusional. And there's a mental health crisis going on in America. So we're going to run this commercial real quick, guys. Then we're going to sign off. And guys, share this content. When I do these shows, I take a risk because when I try to bring clarity, it's often met with ill repute. So please share the content. Share the content because I do believe in male empowerment. I do believe in finding solutions that are going to be beneficial to Black men first and then everybody else. But I do believe in finding solutions, and sometimes those solutions are not what people want to hear. But in the meantime, let's look at this commercial, share the content, and then we're going to sign off. Thank you, guys.
Are you a victim of brokenness and despair? A broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. Many times, many of you young men that are listening come from homes that are very toxic and very dysfunctional. And because of that, many of you have deferred your power in many ways to the point it's led over into your social life and many times led over into your relationships. If you guys are dealing with mental health pathologies, conscious and unconscious, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com. It's important that you deal with your mental health in order to be a better person for yourself, your loved ones, and also your community. But because mental health is often stigmatized, many of you often suffer in silence. Don't be a victim in silence. And see me once again at kosherclinician@gmail.com. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And male mental health is one of those elements that's paramount to the functioning of a man. Be well.
All right, Maurice, thank you, man, for coming on, brother. You've been supporting this
No
stream
problem,
for a minute, man. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you cammed up, man. Thank you, Maurice, and thank you, LCN. Feel free, young man, to come in at any time, man. I love your insight as a young man. And guys, this has been another great stream. We're going to sign off. I'm going to get my walk on, and like the old folks say, get me some tea. And I'll be seeing you guys on tomorrow. We got a powerful show on tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about, is male empowerment the new mental health? And I would say yes. Male empowerment is the new mental health. Men like MTR, men like Richie Mack, men like the Ingram Experience, men like El Guapo, and men like myself. We're going to get together and continue to empower men, and for men to get the best outcomes that can help them become the better versions of themselves. So, guys, we're about to sign off. This has been another good one, guys, and you guys be well and enjoy the rest of your day. Be well.
Tell them run it up. I wake up. Yeah. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip, this wet. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip, this wet. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. 9 out of 10, roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turned to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies.
I just want to say thank you once again to Green Beret Media before I signed off, brother. Thank you, Green Beret. He said great conversation. As always, keep working, guys. And yes, we're going to keep working, guys. We're going to liberate one man at a time, and we're going to find solutions that are beneficial long-term for men and masculinity. So, guys, it's been another good one. I love you, brother. We got a powerful show on tomorrow, and look for the show Saturday. We're going to be asking ourselves the question I'm going to have, hopefully, if you come on, Carl Reed and Mitchell Jones from what's many call the greatest gospel group of all times, Commission. Before there was Boys to Men, before there was Boys to Men's Tank and Byron McKnight, there were soft velvet voices like Carl Reed and Mitchell Jones, also Fred Hammond. So we're going to try to have those guys on Saturday, guys, and I look forward to continuing to bring you guys excellent content in these critical times in America. Be well, guys. Love you guys, and take care.